Hi, I'm Gordy Gundaker. Welcome to the Dirt Parlor Podcast.
Hi, I'm Don Martin. Welcome to the Dirt Parlor. You have no idea what's to come. Welcome to this week's Dirt Parlor Podcast, and I'm always joined by my great buddy, Mr. Gordy Gundaker. And we are thrilled tonight with the guests that we have. And before we get into that, we're going to thank our partners, first of all, because without them, we wouldn't be able to do this wonderful, these things that we get to do and entertain some of the folks at home. First thing, we want to thank our Steve Martin at Nutrient Ag and Ace Duran Trucking Company. We want to thank Jeff Hoker of Hoker Trucking. We want to thank Maria at FK Rods. We want to thank Mr. Bo Popejoy at Popejoy Inc. and also Hot Rod Septic. Reed Millard of Millard Family Chapels. And, of course, we got my man's company, Checker Customs, and with Gordy. And we're going to get right into it because we have got one of our favorite people on tonight. And we got the Rudine Racing number 26 sprint car driver, high limit full-timer, JP, Justin Peck in the house with us tonight, and we're excited about having you, Justin. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Real quick, while we were doing this, we got to talk a little bit about what this guy's kind of what he's graduated from. I still remember when Justin, you were in the family car, in the five car. Remember watching you in midgets, and then you kind of went into the sprint car episode, and then, still one of my favorite cars was at the Nationals the one year, the COVID year, of course. I love the Pink Panther car, and it was really badass. But you've been naturally with Tom Book for a long period of time before joining Kevin and Monica Rudine now. And Gordy and I both know you're one of the most talented drivers in the country. Wherever you go forward with winning, I don't think you're going to surprise anybody. I still remember the great battles you had with Tyler, even on the All-Star Series. Right. So I'll let Gordy kind of talk a little bit about it too, about your success.
Yeah, well, you've had a kind of a wild road to land to where you are now, at Rudine Racing. So, I'd like to know, I don't know a lot about your early days, where you come from and all the stuff that you built up to. Obviously we've known each other now for a few years, but talk about the early days and how you got into sprint car racing and how you ended up in the situations you've been in.
Well, I think if my family had it their way, we'd be pavement late model racing, just because that's what my dad did. So, started off, quarter midget racing. Went and did the micro stuff on dirt. Ran a little bit of the Kenyan midget series, which at that time was all pavement stuff. Dabbled in the pavement late model deal, but was still running micros, and I kind of was at a crossroads, whereas my dad was pushing, he wanted to go late model racing, and I wanted to go midget racing, because at that time, we're running the Power Eye micro series. Well, naturally, they got the midgets there every night with us. So that's kind of was my idea, was I'm just going to keep moving in this direction. And being from Indiana, you always want to go USAC racing. So that was kind of the direction we went. We went and did that deal, and then really had no intention of going wing sprint car racing. I just kind of wanted to keep going towards running non-wing sprint cars, and kind of dabbled in it, ran a couple shows for some guys here and there. At that time I was still running my dad's midget, and we're at I-55 for the Ironman portion, or the midget portion of the Ironman. And I'm telling you, it was wicked watching the wing cars rip around that place, just banging the boards, and they're fast as hell. And, basically when I left that night, I was like, okay, that's where I'm going. I'm going that direction. And at the end of that year, my dad had two midgets, and we sold the midgets, bought a sprint car, bought an engine, and we won our sixth race out. It was an all-star show at Macon. So we were just kind of hooked from there. And that was kind of the direction I wanted to keep going, was try to, get to the point, I guess, where I'm making a living racing sprint cars.
That's funny. Now we know that we both got our first starts at Macon, because that's where I won my first big race was at Macon. So look at us go. We didn't even know we had that in common.
Sounds like that's a toasted dingus later.
Yeah, no doubt. I guarantee it.
To Macon Speedway.
Yeah. That's right.
I'll tell you, I love that place. I kind of wish we still went there. It's a little small for wing cars, but it's pretty fun though. I still like that place.
Dude, it honestly is. I raced the Summer Nationals there a lot growing up, and that's where it kind of, I fell in love with it, and I was always like a bullring guy. But people are like, man, I don't understand why you guys want to go to like this, practically like a 6th mile, really. Like it's not even, I feel like it's smaller than a 5th mile, but shit happens so fast there, and it's so fun because you're just like on the edge of your seat the whole time. You're just like, I have no idea where I'm going to go the next corner. Like if you make one small mistake there, you just get like eaten alive, and the next thing you know, it's just all hell breaks loose in a matter of seconds, and it's just chaos.
I think it almost gets to the point too. Like there's been a couple times where like I've like jumped the curb and like got up and like rode the wall around, and I've like picked up speed doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Well, you can't lift at that point either. Like there's not enough corner to like save you. So it's like, well, I just got to hold my foot in the floor here and pray to God I get out of it. Cause if I lift, I'm screwed anyways. It's just, but yeah, I mean, like even like watching the midgets there and all that stuff, it's like, I know a lot of guys do not like tight bull ring racing, but for the guys that do, like Macon, I know they love it. Like that is the perfect place to go. It's just like, well, especially if you don't like somebody, it's like you can just chalk that up as like, oh, I just didn't have much room, and really you just run right over the guy on purpose. Like, well, sorry about you. Oh shit.
You know, I'm curious. You mentioned your dad, how you guys sold everything. You know, your dad's got to be kind of like pretty elated, knowing that you sold them. You know where you are right now, considering where you thought. And even though he didn't see this path kind of for you, but that's got to be pretty cool, you know, for dad to look at where my kid's at right now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this was what I wanted to do, right? I wanted to go, you know, chase race cars, you know, full time. And so obviously it's worked out because that's where I'm at now. But I don't think, you know, he worked pretty damn hard to, you know, to get me to that point, right, where you can get picked up by somebody else and kind of get off mom and dad's paycheck. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think, you know, it's one of those deals. Like it was just so tough. Like if you can't, you know, at that time when I first made that big jump, I guess my first real big ride would have been with Tom Book, like full time, like making a true living racing. But even before that, you know, got hooked up with like Pete Grove and did the All-Star stuff for a little bit, and then drove for John Trone. I was kind of just bouncing around. You know, I'd still run my mom and dad's car a little bit here and there. But that, you know, he always kept trying to, you know, pound it in my mind, like, you know, it's not that easy. You know, there's only so many rides out there, and you know, just say there's 20 full-time rides out there, and there's, you know, 300 guys wanting in that ride and have some talent that could actually do it. And I think it's just one of those deals. It was like, you know, even when I was running like Pete Grove stuff, like my dad was still coming with me. He was still setting my race cars up. And like, I think we just kind of built relationships with a bunch of different people, you know what I'm saying? And some other people kind of saw some talent in me and was able to, you know, just kind of keep climbing and keep going. Picked up that ride with Tom and ran my first full year of All-Star racing, I guess, was with Buki. But yeah, I think he's pretty happy. I know he's coming out to Knoxville this weekend. We've got Eagle, Nebraska tomorrow, and then we've got Knoxville this weekend. So he'll be there for all of it.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure, you know, obviously, you know, I still race with my mom and dad in a certain way. This year it's changed a little bit of trajectory. I own my stuff now compared to the past years, but, you know, I mean, they've given me everything to get to this point, and obviously it's like you want to do everything you can for them. But at the same time, I think one of the hardest parts about racing for your family, right, is like you budget race way harder. And it's hard to go out there and go, well, if I just, you know I probably need to be on the ragged edge and almost yard sale this thing. But if you're racing for your family and you yard sale that thing, it's like, well, are we going to the racetrack next week? Where a car owner's like, if you don't go out and fucking yard sale this thing and try to win, you're fired. So it's like it's two very different mental capacities, I guess you'd say. I think I've realized that over the years. You know, it's a different mindset when you're racing your own equipment, because, you know, when you're fixing it and you're paying for it, or your family's paying for it, like the last thing you want to do is put a big dent in the checkbook. It's not to say that you don't appreciate other guys' monies, but like, they're paying for you to be in there because they want to see that thing go as fast as humanly possible. And a lot of guys are like, listen, I don't care if you tear this thing up. Like, I want to win races. So it's very different when you're racing somebody else's stuff and when you're racing your own.
Yeah. Well, and like, so I think that was kind of the decide. You know, I don't know how I'm trying to word this, but like the end goal, right? Like to me and my dad, the end goal was always to, you know, to go drive for somebody else right now. And if you can pick up some, you know, and that's the difference too, right? When you're racing for your family, like it's obviously coming out of their checkbook, or somebody's got to, no matter how you look at it, somebody's got to pay the bills. So if you can find somebody else that's going to pay the bills and you can stay running for your family, that's great. Right. But that's almost even harder to find than going to drive for somebody else. You know what I'm saying? And for most of my career, I got very lucky. Like I had, Duracoat Products was a supporter of mine from, I think from I was like 5 or 6 years old till I was like 18 years old. And, truthfully, without that backing, there's no way we'd have gone midget racing or sprint car racing. Micros is pretty much what, we would have been stuck at or could have gotten to, on our own. But, eventually lost that when I was about 18 years old, and the schedule shrunk a little bit. You went from running your 40 or 50 races to now we're running 20, 30. If you can, if you've won a couple races, you can keep getting up and down the road. You know what I'm saying? So It changed just the schedule changed a lot, and it kind of, the mindset changed a lot too, right? Because it was almost like you're just completely focused on going out there and trying to win every night, and then all of a sudden you run 20, 30 shows, and now the mindset changes. It's like you're almost out there trying to go talk to owners or talk to sponsors or whatever it is. You're almost putting more focus into that side of stuff. And, truthfully, when that happened, my performance took a hit because it was like, okay, crap, I'm not really focused on what I need to be focused on. And then it came about 2019. It was like over that winter between 2018 and 2019, I just completely made up my mind. I'm like, if this is all I'm going to do, this is all I'm going to do. You know what I mean? At that time, I was working at Hoosier Tire in Brownsburg and racing for mom and dad. And we were kind of basically just running Attica Fremont weekly, I guess you could say at that time. But we'd go out to Illinois and Wisconsin and race the Indiana shows when they were around, and picked off a couple wins right away. That mindset change of just getting back to, okay, I'm here to win races again, helped a lot. I mean, we won for a couple races right out of the gate. And then that eventually led into getting picked up by Pete Grove, which eventually, being on the road with the All-Star stuff, and that eventually led to getting picked up by Tom Book. So it's a weird situation when you're driving for your family, because it's like, kind of like you said, you want to go out there and just rip it, but at the same time, you're trying to figure out how to pay for the shit at the same, all together.
Yeah. And there ain't nothing worse than taking an ass chewing from your dad for wadding your shit up running 10th. I can tell you that much. There is nothing worse than it. Why don't you just bring that thing home? Sometimes you got to know when you're not going to win the thing, son. That's God damn it. Yeah, right. Yep. But God knows if you'd have went out there and just rode around and come in and been like, what the hell are you doing? You should have been up there banging the boards trying to run 6th or something. Like, you could never win in that situation. Like, it's just, unfortunately, it's the way it goes. But it, at the same time, I'm sure for you, like it was for me, it's like, racing up and down the road with my dad, it's like, they brought us into racing, right? And they gave you everything, from the time you're racing quarter midgets or whatever it was growing up to, supporting you financially to get you going. It's like, you want to do the absolute best for them one way or another. Cause there is nothing better than when you win a race in a family car, seeing your mom and your dad and your family just like so jacked up like that. You can't beat that. But there is a lot more stressful moments in the race shops and those things when things aren't going good and you're spending money left and right and they're going, hey, we're paying for all this and you suck. Like, something's got to give here, like there is a fine line in that. And I think that's why you probably don't see as many family rides anymore, because it's just so hard, because it's so competitive. It's more of a business now. There's so much more money involved. And, I give credit to somebody like Aaron Reitzel that has been able to kind of manage his own deal and make it work for him, because that's not easy either, right? Like, you're trying to build a team and get all these great sponsors and build all that up, and like trying to go find somebody and be like, hey, I could really use $100,000 this year. And they're like, okay, well, you haven't won a race yet, so what are we giving $100,000 to, right? Like that's a really hard sell when you're like, yeah, no, we're going to be really good in 3 years if you just keep giving me $100,000 a year. And they're like, yeah. Or I could give $100,000 to this guy who won 10 races last year. Like, I'll do that.
I can remember that Bart Hartman told me a great story about when he was racing with his dad. And Bart said, he's like, I could never figure this out. But he says, he always knew when I ran bad when I started. And I was like, and he goes, and all of a sudden it hit me one day, like, because he says the way the house was, my mom and dad's bedroom kind of faced the entrance of coming into the shop. And he says, but I could never figure it out. He goes, there was a hole, and it was a water hole. And I could never figure out going, man, me and my brother would work on this and flatten out, do it, and that hole would be right back. He goes, Dad did that on purpose because he knew when that water hit that hole by the bedroom, they were home.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes, and if we got home too early, he knew we had a bad night. He goes, and he will almost beat us before we even got the thing parked. So he goes, it's like, Rick, he goes, I remember telling Davy Johnson once that he goes, man, you broke already. Are you going to go home? No, I'm going to drink for the next 3 hours because if I get home, I'm just going to get my ass whipped. He goes, so I learned real quick that he'd be wait. So the later I came in, he thought it was the better we did. So I just started drinking all night. He goes, it worked out. He goes, and the next morning he goes, well, what'd you end up getting? Like third? Oh no, we was 17th.
Yeah, we were terrible.
But you got home so late.
Yeah.
He goes, I wouldn't even say anything about that hole for about 3 years, but it took me a while to figure it out.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So, but no.
It is. It's a hard deal, but it's cool to see, like for you, it's like you've obviously taken some fast steps in the last few years, right? Like you were talking about going from kind of a part-time all-star deal, full-time, and now you're running full-time high limit with Rudine Racing. I got to know what it's like driving for Kevin and those guys, their whole team of Monaco, like what that's been like for you to kind of step into a team that gives you absolutely everything you need to be successful. 410 racing, 360 racing, all of it.
Well, I got to say right now, it's not that great because we're not as good as we want to be. I feel like a lot of people could say that, but I guess, towards the end, probably halfway point 24, maybe a little bit before that, I kind of knew that my time with the 13 was kind of coming to an end, and kind of was shopping around and talking to some car owners and stuff. And truthfully, it didn't even cross my mind to call, the Rudine guys, because they had Zeb at the time, and I hadn't heard any kind of rumblings that they were, unhappy with him, or whatever, what I'm trying to get at, that they were wanting to make a driver change. And so I really kind of wrote it off, and I thought, I had a couple different options, and I thought for sure that I was going to go drive the CJB5 car, and by the end of the year, that kind of had fallen apart, and so we go into Texas with the last high limit weekend, and I know this is my last race with Tom Book, and we go out there and run like sixth or something, and after the night's over, I get to talking to Barry Jackson a little bit, and it just I didn't get that warm fuzzy feeling that, oh, okay, this is not a done deal, and so we go to the banquet the next day on Sunday, life's good. I leave Monday and, start talking to Chad Clemens and find out that our deal is falling apart. And so now I'm scrambling, I've got a 12-hour drive home from Dallas, Texas, and I'm trying to figure out who I'm going to drive for next year. So it was like phone call after text message after phone call. And I mean, it was just constant the entire way home. And eventually I got Tyler Tessmaker's number. He was a crew chief on the 26th at the time. And I had texted him. I'm like, hey, I don't know what's going on, but I don't have anything lined up for next year. What are you guys planning on doing? And his response was, well, I don't really know, but are you going to be at Trophy Cup this weekend? I said, yeah, I'll be at Trophy Cup. He goes, cool. Well, we're going to have a sit down with Kevin on Saturday. All right, sweet. Sounds like a plan, and it was a perfect storm too, because then we go out to Trophy Cup. I win night one at Trophy Cup. Night two, we run like third or fourth, and I'm like second in points for Trophy Cup at that moment. And I'm thinking, oh, this is going good. Like I got a meeting tomorrow. I've already won. Like this is going to work out well. And pretty much when I left lunch that Saturday, I kind of knew that I was going to be in the 26. And a couple of days went by, and Kevin calls me. Yep, we're doing this deal. We're going to Charlotte. XYZ, and it worked out. We went and ran podium 2 nights in a row at Charlotte, and had like a 10th place, I think, the next night. So it was good first weekend, and since then it's been pretty easy as far as from a relationship side of stuff. Like Kevin and Monica are just super nice people. I feel like they get along with everybody, and we've got a really nice shop in Brownsburg that we work out of, and we've got a bunch of motors and a bunch of cars, and nice rigs. So it's life's good for working on race cars.
When you were at the Trophy Cup, my man here, when you were in the Snow 17, picked you to win.
Yep.
Oh hell yeah.
And always remember that we were, and because I was like, well, he's in the snow car. He goes, I don't care.
Yep.
He said JP's going to be good at Trophy Cup,
and I got it. So
I remember I had to call it out because he was probably waiting for me. Like, Martin, you remember this Trophy Cup? I don't want to toot my own horn, but
I drove that car that I drive when I go drive for Clayton, the specific car that I run. Like we've spent like 3 years putting that package together. Like every time I'd go out there randomly throughout the year, and like we'd change this, we'd change that, right? Oh, well, we don't like that. We're gonna change this shock. We're gonna change this wing. started running a different body to try to get better, have to handle better through like dirty air and stuff like that. And I mean, that was like 3 years in the making of just every time I drove that car, we were changing this and changing that. And it finally got it to where it was like, it's super forgiving in dirty air. This just rolls around the racetrack nice. Like it doesn't move, like rock around, it just kind of like gets in the slot and just stays there. And it, we were really fast, but then we went and shit the bed on Saturday. So that sucked. We didn't win the trophy cup.
Well, that happens sometimes. That's the way it goes. Big time auto racing will get you.
Yeah. You definitely have that on the big jobs.
I think the big thing is, like, it seemed like last year with Gordy and I talked about it a lot. Like, you got to that hot start, right there in the 360 deal, and it took off. Which was after Charlotte, we all predicted such a great year for you, and it looked like, of course, the Ford engine program and some other stuff. You're hearing all the stuff, and it looked like I know that it hurt you a little bit on some of the bigger racetracks. When you were going to, because it seemed like there was a lot of moving parts with the motor program. And it looks like now this year, you could already tell it looks like you're going to have I think you're going to have a great year this year. I mean, it's early because you're not fighting a lot of those gremlins and headaches that maybe you had a year ago.
Yeah, like this year we've got an unbelievable engine program. Truthfully, like we've got we bought 4 Charlie Garretts over the winter time. We've got Trenton Schaefer who had worked with Charlie for a while, building new engines for us, and we had a couple Speedway Chevys that were kind of sitting under the bench that he's kind of converted over to more like his style of package, and just kind of went through and freshened them up. And our motors run really good. I think the biggest thing we're fighting right now is, we've had a crew chief change. Tyler went over to Levi's team. And now we've got Brandon Hickman as the crew chief, and he got moved up from car chief. And just a matter of fine tuning our package right now. Like, I feel like we're pretty close, but it's like we're about a 7th to 10th place race car every night with the high limit stuff, and it's just not good enough, right? So I think once we get it dialed in, we should be pretty good. I'm happy with the direction we're going. Our car is very consistent. It just keep creeping up on little tweaks here and there every time we go out every night. And I'm pretty happy with the way things are going. I want to run better, but so does everybody else too, right? So it's just a matter of remembering that we're only, I don't know, we're less than 20 races in as a pairing, and we've got 3 wins already. So that's good, but we haven't won a high limit show yet or an outlaw show yet. So that's what kind of stinks.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure, obviously, like you talk about having a new crew chief, even though he gets upgraded from car chief, there's still growing pains in that, right? Every time you've got to learn each other, you got to learn the tweaks you guys want and the different kind of styles and the racetracks, and all that comes into play. And, I feel like trying to find that gel and that mix, especially early in the season, because it feels always like earlier in the season, if you're just a little bit off, it seems like you're forever and a half off. And I don't know why that always is. It seems like the guys who unload in speed weeks are really good for that first month and a half, almost no matter where they go. And I don't know if it's just because they end up trying different things as they get further into the season. But you kind of have to figure out your base package and what works for you and what you can unload with almost every night. And I'm sure you guys are searching for that because as well as anybody, right? Qualifying at any race, whether it's a national event or an all-star race or whatever, is as big as it can possibly be right now, because starting on the front row or the second row of a heat race is way different than starting in the third row of a heat race. And so the beginning of your night is pretty much kind of dictates how how everything's going to go. God, I don't know what that was. How everything's going to go throughout your night. So I feel like as you guys build your package and get more comfortable with each other making decisions, that's where the speed and the finishes are going to come from. Yeah,
I mean, for sure. And that's kind of where it seems like, the couple times that we were able to start up front, I shouldn't even say that. The one dash that we've actually made with the high limit stuff, it's like, you qualify on the front row, right? Well, I think that's the only time we've actually got to start on the front row, because every time we go out and qualify, we qualify 7th, which starts you 3rd in the heat race, and then you run 2nd. You know what I'm saying? So then you're just kind of behind the 8 ball from that point on. So it's I don't know. It's tough, man. I feel like our racing stuff is pretty solid. Like, we passed a bunch of race cars, but when you start 14th almost every night or 12th almost every night, and then you run, 8th or 10th even, you're like, well, we went forward, our car's pretty good. But we're not up there competing for W's, you know what I mean? So it just takes time. Like when we came into this year, I mean, not only did we change crew chiefs and change our engine package, I mean, we changed shocks, we changed our wings, we changed our wheels. I mean, basically the only thing that stayed the same was the driver and the frames. I mean, that was seriously the only thing that didn't change. And we made all this change for the better. Like, even besides just like me and my brother and Brandon and A-Rod, who are all the guys that work in the shop every day. Like we all obviously had these conversations. Like we feel like this is the direction we need to go to get better. But it even went further than that, because like we're talking with Kevin, we're trying, he's agreeing with us, or disagreeing in this aspect, right? You're just trying to explain, like, I know that we're changing everything. However, we felt like we maximized our potential with the package that we ran last year. We didn't feel like it was going to go any further. So all these changes we felt like were necessary to go further. And truthfully, like we went through and we're going, kind of looking at our average qualifying, our average finish, our average heat race finish, all that good stuff, right? Well, like last year at this time, yes, we made, 2 or 3 more dashes at this time, with the high limit stuff than we have this year. But, our average qualifying is like a spot and a half better this year already. Our feature finish is like 2 spots better. Our heat race finish is like a spot and a half better. So, I mean, we have improved in every category that we've wanted to. It just doesn't necessarily feel like it because we don't feel like we're competing for wins night in and night out.
Yeah.
Do you like the bigger tracks, Justin, or the smaller racetracks for you?
Well, I think now, I don't know, because now I'd say I'm more of like a true win guy. So I kind of tend to like the bigger tracks just because all the big races are on it. But if I had to choose what's more fun and what I feel like I would do better at, is typically the smaller tracks. I feel like it's just kind of always been that way.
Yeah.
So did you enjoy the show last night at Hopstad?
Yeah, it was great. I wish we were there. I wish, I give.
We talked about it Saturday, man. I thought for sure you were going to try to trek it.
I'm telling you, I give those guys credit because those bastards drove 7 or 8, 9 hours all the way to Hopstad, and they're driving 11 or 12 hours right back here to get the Eagle tomorrow. So hey, props to them, man. And they got the W.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is, and especially I'd say probably if things were really cooking along for you right now, you probably would have made that trek where it's like, you know what, hey, let's just go ahead and keep the steam rolling and get over there. But sometimes you got to make business decisions and know that you guys got a lot of racing coming up. Obviously this week you got 3 and and then once May starts, I feel like you guys are just full bore, as much as you can go.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like once you hit May, and it's not even like necessarily the first week of May. It's like once you get like to the second weekend of May, and then you get to like it's just nonstop to the middle of September. So it's especially for us too, because, I feel like we make an extra trip out to the West Coast. Actually, right. Well, 2 if you count Trophy Cup. Like as a team, we're going to go run Dirt Cup, which is out in Washington. Then you got to come basically right back to go. I forget wherever the hell we're going after that, but you go somewhere else in the Midwest that next weekend or midweek, and then. Then you go run all the big shows like Eldora, Knoxville, you go back to the West Coast, go back to Pennsylvania directly after that. Well, but once we leave Texas, we go back to California again because we're going to go run Trophy Cup. So it's like we try to pick and choose our battles. Like, okay, we don't want to drive a shit ton right now because we know we're going to drive a shit ton later on. And it's just tough, man. It's tough to pick and choose the schedules,
That's right. I'd like to know what your opinion was on the last lap extravaganza they had there last night. I know what my take is, but I want to hear yours first before I give mine.
Well, I don't know. I mean, in my opinion, I think Buddy drove up the racetrack. But with that being said, Sunshine was trying to come down. He was trying to kind of get to the bottom and block Buddy, or anybody for that matter, from kind of snookering him and getting up in front of him. But I don't know. I think Buddy drove pretty far up the straightaway, and Sunshine only drove about that much down the straightaway. So, and I think you kind of have to anticipate that too. Like Hopstad narrows up a lot once you get off the corners. Like it's just a super narrow straightaway. And you can really put yourself in a bad spot pretty quick. And that's kind of ultimately what I think happened. It's a racing deal at the end of the day, but I think I kind of think Buddy put himself in a bad spot.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, I would imagine Sonny going into 1 there, both lap cars are on the bottom. I don't think he thought anybody was going below the tires in 1 and 2. And so, when Buddy pulls a wheel stand, when I first watched it, to me, the initial reaction was like, damn, Tyler kind of hung a left there. Then you go back and watch it and you realize, I had seen Buddy go through the infield, But when you watch him pull a wheel stand and the left rear drives him up the racetrack, it's like, Tyler, like you just said, Tyler really didn't come down that far. Buddy's right front just happened to be there by the time Tyler wanted to come down to the left, and then shit happens. And so, yeah, I mean, I understand the frustration out of Buddy, because now he's got, a DNF in points and all of those things. But, if you're really thinking about racing for points at that point, you probably don't put yourself in that position because Tyler had nothing to lose in that moment. He's going purely for the win. And when Buddy sticks his nose in there, like, there's an old adage that I don't think I can say exactly, but something like, don't stick your hem haul where, you wouldn't put your fingers. That's that's about this. I feel like that's about the same concept there, right? Like, I don't know what to tell you, but you put yourself in a bad spot, something's bound to get chopped off.
Yeah. It's a little boring, right? Like, you're going to beat and bang and hit each other. And it's just, I agree with you though. I think at the end of the day, if you're, especially for Buddy, right? So, essentially everybody thinks it's going to come down to Buddy and gravel for the Outlaw Championship. And, you've won how many races in a row now? David's having a bad night, man. Just take your second and get out of there. I know. And that's tough. That's easier said than done, because you're geeked up and you're wanting to win this thing and you're trying to get the big check. Like, I don't know. It's a tough situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I'd say the worst part about that comes out right now, you get even more of the social media hoopla of Outlaws versus High Limit. Now it's all this, like, it just plays into it even more for all the people at home to rile up even more shit about it. And, we've talked about it a million times, right? It's great for the sport to have the drama, but it's like this Outlaw High Limit deal is, like, very much in my eyes getting played out. Like, it's just tiresome. And I don't even know if you guys read into it at all on the road. I mean, obviously I'm sure you hear it and you see it, but it's just like, it's all people want to talk about is Outlaw, High Limit, Outlaw. And it's like, I feel like watching you guys race, and the way we would race going on the road and late model stuff, it's like, that stuff is so far out of your mind that you're not even worried about it. Like, you're not going, all right, well, there's an Outlaw guy and I really need to beat him because it makes the High Limit guys look better. Like, you want to beat everybody every time you get on the racetrack.
Yeah, I say for us, we really don't care. Like, we want to win. It's at the end of the day, you're a racer. You just want to win anything. You just want to win and beat everybody at all times. So it doesn't really matter if it's against the High Limit or the Outlaws, or if it's against Pennsylvania Posse, or if it's against the guys in California. It really doesn't matter, because you want to show up and win anyway. But it's funny you say that though, because I swear that at least in my mind, like on social media, it seems like there's a lot of talk of High Limit versus Outlaws, but I don't ever see like Lucas Oil versus World of Outlaws. Like, I don't know. Do you guys get that?
No, it's probably not near as much. I think it's probably just because our two series have been around for long enough now.
I was just going to say
that has kind of died out, and ours two series are very supplemented. That, like, hey, there's two series and whatnot. There is always talks when an Outlaw guy goes and races a Lucas race or when it comes in, but it's not played up the way it is for yours. But I think more it's because High Limit has become such a big growth of sprint car racing in the last 2 years that it makes sense for people to talk about it, right? And you get the kind of playful kickbacks between Gravel and Larson and all this stuff that feeds into it. And I think it also probably doesn't help that there's so many Kyle Larson fans out there, that are like, oh yeah, Larson, he's High Limit guy, fuck the Outlaws. Like, I think that probably plays into it, because Kyle's got like these super diehards that would do anything for him. Like, if Kyle ran dead last, they'd be like, oh no, he was just testing or something. Like, I don't know. They would give any excuse for him. Like, that's just the reality of it. So I think that also affects the conversation. But yeah, I think it's fresh, right? Like, there was so much draw when it all came out, from which Outlaw guys were going to run High Limit. And so, it just all fed into this madness. But on our side, it's the same way. Racers go to win races. They're not there to worry about, who had the better average finish out of the Outlaws that was there, and who had the better, it's like, that doesn't really cross your mind especially when you're going and you're racing for money and you're racing for a living. It's like, you don't care who's out there racing with you, whether they're inside of you, outside of you, it doesn't matter. Like, you're there to beat them one way or another.
There's more money out there for you guys now than there's ever been.
Yeah.
You know, the 2 series at the bottom line, just like tomorrow night, the big race at Eagle, you know what I mean? And then you go to Knoxville, it's an outlaw show. The high limit guys, a lot of them are going to go there because they want to get laps on the racetrack. You can never get enough laps at Knoxville. I understand that. But the bottom line is you got 2 series that are major series, and it's great for the sport. We got more teams, full-time teams than we ever have, and they're all making money, and that's great for racing, and that's what we need to be supporting.
Yeah, no doubt.
100%.
But I will say I am supporting Tyler Courtney tonight, so we're just going to make that be known. I think Tyler was in the right. So before we jump off that topic, did anybody see Zeb's tweet last night? Did you by chance see that?
I did.
For the people at home who haven't seen it, I think Zeb in some kind of quotes, air quotes, said Buddy didn't expect Tyler to race him that hard, but yet he forgot that he sent him off in a helicopter last year at Eldora. And I'll tell you what, that really speaks volume, I guess, to me. I think he said something else along the lines of, like, I think if anybody was going to race him hard, it'd be that guy. And I guess that kind of holds true. Now, I don't think if any fans, I think that Tyler was thinking that in his mind at that point. I don't think that was it, but you know, they did race really hard for the last 7 or 8 laps. And listening to Buddy's interview after, going, why, you know, all of a sudden I kind of see him, you know, kind of running me up the hill, and it's like, I don't know if Buddy forgot that they were racing for money at that point. Like when he's in his interview, it really felt kind of whiny, honestly, to me, like, to get on there. Just like, man, like, I don't know if you expect the guy to just move over and let you have the win, but, you know, Tyler's trying to get back to form from last year. And, you know, it's some of that. I'm like, man, I think in that situation, you probably just bite your tongue and go on to the next one, because now you're just creating more of a feud than probably needed to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think some of that too is just, you know, he just DNF, right? Like, so he's like, really, he's pissed off about that, right? And it's like, okay, well, let's pivot over here. We're going to say, well, I don't understand what's going on. It's like, well, I agree with you. Sometimes it's just better to say, well, we fucked up. I'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, right. Yep. We're going to bite our tongue and go on to the next one.
I mean, you had a situation, early in the year, you know, with Hunter. You guys, you know, something happened, and he was all upset. You know what I mean? And I love the way you handled it. You know what I mean? And I love the fact when Hunter said, he goes, yeah, Justin's got all the answers. You know, and I was like, I thought it was classic, man. I remember it's like, yeah, if you talk to him, he's got all the answers, you know. And I was like, you know, but and I know that as a race car driver, naturally, you don't want anybody pissed off at you. You both have been there. It's no fun to walk in the pit area, and especially, I'm sure you've had run-ins with guys you respect and friends of yours.
Yeah. And
Gordy, you probably can talk about that a little bit too.
Well, I'd like to know. I want to hear more of Justin's side about this deal, because this was way more fun. It was. Yeah. I love seeing this shit, because I love, like, when the fired up side comes out of everybody, because, like, you get the real raw emotion. So yeah, like, I want to hear. You know, I want your side on this deal. Let's.
So, okay. Well, me being pissed off about it started day one, right? So that was night 3 at Vegas. Well, night 1 at Vegas, we were racing for, I don't even know, 15th or something, you know, like we'd starting in the back. And long story short, I felt like I had a wheel thrown at me twice in the first feature of the weekend. And I'm like, okay, whatever, cool. I pass him, go on my way. You know, we run 11th, whatever the hell, right? You're not having a great night, whatever. Move on to the next one. Well, second night, don't see him, not around him. Third night, we go out for this heat race, and I'd started 6th or something. Shit, I was 2nd, you know, coming out of turn 2 on the start. Yes. Well, now all of a sudden I'm racing for 5th with Hunter again, and I'm pissed because I'm going backwards. And same deal, I get a wheel thrown at me again going into turn 1. So now I'm seeing red, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna really give it to this motherfucker. You know what I mean? And it was just one of those situations where I slid him back. When I finally got my momentum back up and slid him back, I slid him, you know, pretty much went on his left front and in 1 and 2 and made him lift. No contact, no nothing. You know what I'm saying? And so then he crosses me up. We go down in there. He slides across in 3 and 4. I turn down the hill, and I'm trying to soak up all this moisture low down the straightaway on the front stretch. all of a sudden it's just boom, hard turn left down the straightaway. I'm thinking I'm flipping. I didn't know he flipped. I had no idea what's going on. I'm rolling to a stop because my shit's fucked up. And I hear red, and so I get out of the car and I'm trying to survey the damage because I got to make it out for the B main. And I literally just had made it to the back of the car, looked at the right rear, got back to the tail tank and looked over, and I see this dude walking towards me, and he's fired up. So he comes down, he's going, "What the fuck was that? What were you thinking?" And I was like, "You're fucking shit me right now." I was like, "If you go back and watch that video, you fucked up, Hunter." And he's going, You fed me a wheel the other day too." And I said, you drove me like an asshole all weekend. I was like, "Do not start with this shit, like go back." And I just kept saying, Go back and watch. You fucked up.
Right. I saw that. Yeah.
And so then, long story short, the next, the night goes on and I'm mad and thank God we recovered, right? Recovered to run whatever, somewhere inside the top 10. So I'm happy with the night. Well, the next morning, I'm getting calls and texts from all these people, it just saying their side of the story or saying, this is going on, all whatever, you know what I mean? So I went out of my way, which maybe I shouldn't have done. I was kind of, we went out partying, right? So long story short, Saturday night ends, we go out partying Saturday night because it's Vegas. We don't have to race again till Tuesday or something. Yeah. And so we got partying. I woke up and I'm still kind of drunk from the night before, and I just decided it was a good idea. Someone had sent me that meme from Family Guy of that Asian girl. She's like, "I turned out. Good luck, everybody else."
Good luck, everybody.
So I went ahead and tweeted it because I'm not really thinking about it, and like. And the bad part about this is, now let me rephrase this too. The bad part about this is Hunter and I are kind of buddies. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So I tweet this, right? And it's just blowing up. And so I go downstairs and I'm trying to sober up. I'm down there eating some brunch, and Hunter Schuerenberg calls me. And I'm like, well, I text him back, "Hey, I'm eating. I'll call you when I'm done." Right. And I'm pissed. I am still pissed. And I'm not even so mad that he turned left. I'm mad that he had the audacity to come down and say something to me as if you didn't just completely shit the bed, And so he's basically, we kind of hashed it out, right? Like, well, this and that. And I'm telling him I'm still pissed. He's telling me he's pissed, but he's apologizing for crashing me, you know what I mean? And at the end of the phone call, the biggest thing was he's mad that I tweeted that. And mind you, at brunch, I'd had a screwdriver too. I'm a Tito's and orange juice in, also
firing it right back off.
So I just, I start, which maybe I should have handled that a little different looking back on it. But I was like, "Hunter, I don't really care if you're mad about it because that's what happened." You know what I'm saying? And, but with that being said, he also went out of his way to call me to say sorry. Maybe I should have called him, but I still think that's a hilarious tweet. I still got it up. I never took it down.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you know what? And sometimes in those moments, honestly, it's like making some fun out of it is the best way to get by it, right? It's like, you both are always going to know that you had that happen. You had that moment, whatever. But as racers and as boys and all that stuff, it's like, dude, that's the only way we know how to get some of this release out sometimes. Like, you got to make fun of somebody or make fun of the moment or whatever it may be to kind of end it, right? And be like, okay, we know that happened, but let's not carry this throughout the year where we're running over each other all the time for absolutely no reason, right? It's like, it's better just get it out in one night and be done with it and just get back to racing, because if you're just worried about crashing the other the whole time, you're not worried about what you really should be doing.
Yeah. Well, I do feel bad in the sense of like, yes, he turn left on me. Yes. But he's the one that busted his ass. You know what I'm saying? I came away pretty much unscathed. Like, I changed a Jacob's ladder, you know what I mean? And a right rear wheel and a wing. Like, that's basically all I had to do. And he had a destroyed race car and his head's, he's probably got a concussion or whatever. He's probably hurt a little bit from it, and so I'm sure his immediate reaction is to come out and just be mad at me, thinking, well, I'm the one that busted my ass. How was I the one that crashed you, And yeah. And then of course I see all online too. Like, I put this tweet out, kind of maybe poking a little fun. And then I see everybody else online is poking fun at him too. And it's like, okay, maybe maybe that's not great. I'm sorry.
Well, let this one go now. Oh man. It is priceless though. Some of the stuff now that you see on social media, man, like I try not to doom scroll sometimes on there, but like some of the comment sections and things that you will see from these people, it's like, it's too funny to pass up. Like, you have to go on there and do it. And it's a good way to release it out there and be like, you know what? this is how I feel about it, and I'm just moving on. But also, here's one more poke at you before I get out of here.
I mean, you had to laugh. You had to laugh like when Rico wins. You know, Rico has a deal and out. You know, keep the apple away. You know, keeps the outlaws away or whatever. Then Gravel puts out that little thing the next day, snacking right into an apple. I mean, that's great.
Yes,
that's great for you guys.
You got to have it. I can remember one probably moment that we had like that was actually, it's funny. The second year I won the Herald and Review at Macon was in quotes the Herald and Review 101. We were on the white flag lap coming to the checkered and all this stuff, and I ended up beating Bobby Pierce on this restart. And after, I just remember reading on social media, mind you, we're drinking in the pit area. We got like 50 people down there, and we've been slinging for a while, and we're just having a good time. And Bobby put on social media, somebody had tweeted at him, he like quote tweeted it and was like, well, here's what I got. And he like quoted the rule book and got on here. Mind you, I really wasn't mad at Bobby. Like, we didn't have any animosity. And also we're buddies, and right. But I'm like, this little shit's out here trying to demote my win. Now I'm mad. And I'm like, all right. And so, he like puts it on here. Here's what I got. So I just took a picture of the big trophy on top of my roof and said, well, here's what I got, and just fired that back. And he honestly, it didn't, I wanted a better reaction. He just responded and said, congrats on the win. And I'm like, well, shit, like that didn't go the way I wanted to. Like, now I feel like an asshole. Now I just look like an idiot. But, it was like, you got to do that sometimes. And it's the personality side of things. And, I feel like we're a lot alike when it comes to that. Not the hanging out and drinking part. We're definitely alike when it comes to that. We know that. But like that, you're fiery like I am. You wear your emotions, and like sometimes you got to get that shit out. And like for me, it's way better for guys to do that than just get out there and give the cookie cutter interview or get on Twitter or Facebook and say, oh, we just had a run in and it is what it is. Like, I think that's lame. Like, I'm like, listen, let's just hear what you actually have to say and get that part out there and say that you two don't like each other right now. And there might be some fireworks down the road or there might not. Like, it's way better to do it that way.
Yeah. Who's the best at doing like the little banter and stuff is Dietrich. That dude is like classic, because I swear he spends his time like throughout the week. Like, he'll be in the shop working and he's just like cooking up ways to piss somebody off or to like fire up the crowd. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and dude, he can push some buttons, especially on social media. Man, he gets some people fired up on there. Like, he is a great follow on social media, because you're just like, you never know what. Like, if you see a post from Danny Dietrich, you're like, there's no telling what it could be. Like, it could be truly anything, and you're just like, you got to read it. Like, I don't know what it is. It might not even be funny at all. But for whatever it is, like, it's like, oh, yeah, he's poking the bear today. Like, he woke up and chose violence. Here we go.
I'm curious, like with your girlfriend Alex, like how does that work? Like, is she good for you as far as like emotionally?
Be
like,
careful here.
When you're fun, when you like, does she like take your, or is she kind of like, is she one of those that pokes the bear? Is she like, you're gonna take that shit from them, or is she the one like settle down, or like you said, there's a little bit of both going on there?
I don't know. She usually gets more fired up than I do most of the time. She's she can get worked up, but I don't know. She good and bad. I'm gonna say good mostly, because usually, the funny thing about this is I'm gonna say I'm the calm one. She can hear me talking, but I have the earbud in, so she can't hear the question. I'm gonna say I'm the calm one for the most part. Yeah. But she knows when I am fired up. Most of the time, she just kind of like lets me be fired up for a little bit, and then she'll like let it die down and wait for me to calm down. And then that's when the poking the bear comes in. And she'll be like, well, so, I heard somebody say this, well, that's not what this person said. I'm like,
scoop that shit right out. Yeah. You're like, damn it, I just calmed down. Why'd you fire me right back up? Yeah. Well, and it's funny how that works too, right? Because it's like, she knows every button that she can push to get you right back going, right? Whatever it is. And so you're like, if something along those lines happens, for one, I know how Savannah is, like, and I'm sure AB's the same way. Like, they'll shoot it to you straight, no matter what, right? Like, that's what's great about them. Like, whether you had a good night, a bad night, whatever it is, like, you're going to get a straight shooter from them about how everything went. But at the end of the day, too, it's like, they, like you just said, they get way more fired up about this shit than almost we do, right? Like all the wives and the girlfriends in the pit area, like, listen, if there's somebody who cares more than we do, it's them. And so, like, they will get in your ass real quick about if you're not running good or, whatever. Like, you have to be ready for that. Like, right when you think you're done with whatever happened or your night, like, you still got one more bridge you got to cross. And that one there is usually burning. I can tell you that much.
I'll tell you the best, some of the best times on the road is that, like, whether it be good or bad, like, good or bad night, but it's like you hook the t-shirt trailer up and you're driving to the next one and you just get to hear everything that happened that night from both sides of it. That's usually the best time.
Yeah, like the little frog sitting there drinking the tea. You're just like, oh, what happened tonight? Yep, I want to know what happened. You get all these scoops. I'm telling you, there's nothing better than a long race weekend and we get home and I'm just like, all right, Savannah, what'd you hear this weekend? I got to know. I'm like, there had to be some shit going on that we didn't hear about. Oh, God. Yeah. Hey, some would say, though, that AB might be more popular than you are. You guys are like neck and neck. I know she's got way more fans for sure than you do. I don't know about the full popularity scam, but definitely way more fans.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, right? So, like, when I met Alex, I didn't know that, right? I didn't really know who she was, obviously, but like we just kind of met, and then
you were shit faced.
Well, there was that too. Yeah, that did happen. But not when I originally met her, but by the end of the night, 100% I was. You know what I mean? Like, I don't dance, and by the end of the night, the first day I met her, we're dancing on the dance floor and shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that was a good time. But I don't even remember where I was going with that now.
We were talking about the popularity count,
right? Yeah. So obviously I didn't know that about her, and I mean, I literally just knew her as the VP girl that just so happened to run in this pageant that I was a judge in, right? Like, that's literally how we met. And, so fast forward a little bit, right? So, like, the next day we might have gone to dinner the next day or something, right? Like, we'd become friends at that point. And I kind of, I had an interest in her, and I think, she obviously had an interest in me too. So we ended up just going to dinner with some friends the next night and, kind of, hung out that night, whatever. We move on, right? You go home, everybody separates you, and you're just texting each other, kind of just talking back and forth. And, I'm trying to get her to come to a race and whatnot. And so, long story short, I finally get her to come to Pennsylvania to a race, right? She's up in New York at the time. It's not too far. She comes to a race and she puts on the VP outfit and she's walking around. And I'm telling you, they didn't say, hi, Justin, how's it going? They're wanting to talk to Alex, the VP girl. They don't give a shit that I'm walking next to her. They don't care about any of that. You know what I mean? And then I get on social media after the fact and it's like everyone's talking about it, like, oh, Peck's hanging out with the VP girl, this, that, and the other thing. And I start really thinking about it, time goes on and it's the same way. Right. So it's like, she definitely has more fans than I do, or at least is more popular than I am.
I guarantee it. 100%. But hey, you know what? It's good for your brand, right? And so that you just keep poking your head in on the Instagram photos and all that. And like, hey, I'm over here too. Just, giving this smile and wave deal.
Oh yeah.
I think everybody likes you guys as a couple. I mean, really. I mean, it's pretty popular. I mean, you see her, Victory Lane. I remember seeing her at Oskaloosa. And it's good. I think it's good, and I think it's good for both of you. I really do. I imagine the conversations, like you said, on the road, got to be hysterical.
Well, I think she's been doing like TikToks or Instagrams when she goes and draws for you. Some of that shit is the funniest things I've seen, because it's like when she draws bad, like the video, like as she's going back, it's just like, oh, Justin's going to be so mad. And I don't remember. There was one of them, she drew like a really bad pill, and he goes, are you serious?
Did you actually do that?
Yeah.
Well, see, I can't ever take her serious either, because sometimes she'll draw a 3 and come back and tells me she drew a 75. And I'm like, fuck, like, what the hell? And she's like, no, I'm just kidding. Well, all right.
See, there's the more of the button pushing. That's it. Yeah.
I always tell her she's going to get fired, but she still keeps doing it. So she hasn't been fired yet.
Well, at least I feel like that way, if it goes bad, it's like you have something else to blame. Like, Alex drew terrible tonight, so it's just really ruined our night from the get-go.
I'll tell you, I've been drawing lately, and it's been worse than that. So she needs to step back in and take over for me again.
I always know if we go to a racetrack where, like early in the night, like the first 2 heat races are usually heavy, like in those third or fourth one as we're like starting to blow off, I will always go draw, because I'm guaranteed I'm drawing somewhere between 91 and 100. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that the last year on the Outlaws that I ran in 23, they did a $500 bonus, $500 for the lowest average draw, $500 for the highest average draw. I smoked him in the highest average draw. My average draw was like 58 or something like that. And to have an average of 58, you got to draw in the 90s a lot. And I hammered it. I knew every time, like, well, I'm going to go up here. I'm going to go out about third car from last. There's no racetrack left, and I'm going to qualify about 13th and start third row of this heat race. Like, yep, that's going to be my night. Like, it was just guaranteed. And then I'm like, okay, somebody else needs to go draw. Maybe they'll do better. And it was like, I just like cursed everybody. It was like somewhere between 75 to 100, we were going to get there. No problem about it.
Well, I'm telling you, so the people, like, you know, as a driver, you want to try to have a positive mindset, right? And you're thinking, well, draw doesn't really matter. Like, if we're that good, we can still go out here and burn a lap and do X, Y, Z and blah, 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 blah. But I'll tell you what, the most races, like at the stint of time when I won the most races I've ever won in that like amount of time, right? I was drawing the best. Like 2022, we roll into Ohio Speed Week, and it was like I could not draw bad, right? Like every time I made a dash, it's like I'm in the first two rows of the dash. You know, I'm drawing up front for qualifying, or I'm just like with the All-Star stuff, you qualified against your heat race, or I'll draw like, you know, the weakest heat race or whatever the case was, right? Well, we win a couple races, we win Ohio Speed Week. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then right as soon as we leave Ohio Speed Week, I could not draw any better than a 7 or 8 when it came to the dash time, you know. And then you go on 2 months of not winning a race, and you're going, maybe draw does matter.
Yeah, 100%. Dude, and I know, like, I'm the first one. I hate when gravel gets on there and bitches about it all the time. But he is 100% right that it does suck if you got to go out there and draw the 8 in the dash every night and pass all those fast cars again. Like, that's not easy to do. Like, you go up there and you draw in the front row, it makes your night a hell of a lot easier from the dash or the front row of the feature to try and win that race or have a top 5 than it does having to start in the 4th row. Like, it's just the truth. Like, and I rarely will go up. Normally, anytime like I was in the dash of the Outlaws, I would find like a kid or somebody would stand up there. I'm like, here, buddy, you go draw this pill because I know what I'm gonna. Yeah, I know what I'm gonna pull. It's gonna suck. I need you to go draw and get me something better. Yeah. Or I always used to pray that I would be in like the 4th heat race because like we always drew the heat race winners drew 1 through 4, in second place drew 5 through 8. If I was in the 4th heat race, I didn't have a chance to draw. I just got my pick. They were getting it for me. So I'm like, if I'm going to be in,
were better.
Yeah, I needed to be in the 4th heat race so that way I didn't even have a chance to go up there and draw.
This is how bad I am at drawing. So like obviously with the high limit stuff, we spin that wheel for our redraw spot, you know, for the dash. So we go to Kokomo one night. And, you know, I'd qualified whatever it was. I qualified second, you know, won the heat, like life's good. You know, we're rolling. And I'm thinking I got confidence. It's my track, Kokomo. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to spin something good, right? I spin the 1. Oh, sweet. All right, cool. Well, there's 2 fucking zeros on that thing. I started 5th in that dash. I spun the 1 and started 5th because there were 4 zeros and double zeros.
There's nothing you can do. Nothing you can do at that point.
No.
Nothing. Yeah. I'm telling and it's like the worst feeling too. Like that, there's no skill involved in that. But when you go up there and draw a bad pill, you're just like, dude, I suck. Like, why do I suck at this part? I finally put myself in a good spot and I still can't get any luck to get me in the right direction. Like, it just doesn't happen. Yeah. It is good.
Do you like the format with the high limit? You like the format?
I do. You know, it's kind of a catch-22 because you know, like for me, I always liked the outlaw format because in my mind, it just rewarded greatness. Like if you went out every time you hit the track and you qualified good, you heat raced good, you're going to be up front in the dash, right? Or not necessarily, but you're going to be in the dash. You're going to be up front in the feature. Like it was just whoever was the best was going to be up front all the time. And with the high limit stuff, it is a lot of that way, right? Like you just can't afford to screw up. But the nice thing with the high limit stuff is like if I go out and I go quick time, all I got to do is transfer. I don't have to hold on to my first or second starting spot or whatever, you know what I'm saying, to make the dash. All I got to do is transfer through this heat race and I'm in. The catch to that is I keep starting 3rd every freaking night in a heat race and I run 2nd, you know, and it pisses me off because I'm not in the dash. But if that was the high limit format, I would have been in the dash. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm sorry, if that was the outlaw format, I would have been in the dash. So it's a catch-22. I think.
Well, it's like Saturday at Wheatland, right? It's like Saturday at Wheatland. You pass Reitzel in the heat race.
Yeah, run 2nd, and you don't even make the dash. You're still going to start 10th, you know.
Yeah.
But I do think the flip. You know, I do think it maybe promotes a little bit more dicing back and forth in the heat race because you don't have to run 2nd. You know what I mean? Like that guy in 2nd's chasing like hell to try to get to the win, or The ace in the hole too. So the fast qualifier starts fourth. If he wins, he's automatically on the front row or starting on the pole of the dash. So maybe it promotes a little bit more racing, maybe not, but that's what I'm going to say.
Yeah. We were actually, Savannah and I were talking about the formats the other night. We were actually talking about like the USAC formats and stuff, and how I've watched USAC racing for I don't know how long. I still have absolutely no idea what's going on.
It's hard to figure out.
No clue. I'm like, you literally could watch a Friday and Saturday, and a guy would start fourth in the heat race and run second, and he'll start fourth in the feature, and then the next night he would do the same thing, and he starts like 17th, and I'm like, how does that make any sense? No clue.
Well, I'm telling you, there was like when I was running midget stuff, I didn't run a whole lot of USAC races, but I'll never forget this either. Like, so we're at Kokomo, and we qualified bad. We started like 8th, right? Well, I ended up running second in that heat race. I still started 22nd in the feature. Like the B main cars are starting in front of me, and I'm going, how am I going to get ahead here?
Dude, I'm telling you, like, yeah, I've never understood them. I don't even try anymore because it's so confusing that I'm like, I don't know how anybody starts in the front row or 6th or wherever they start. It's like there's too much going on to figure it out. It's a lot of times I'm like, I just want to watch the features. I'm like, I don't want to know how they got there because it's going to piss me off because I don't understand it, but I'd rather just watch the feature and it'll be all good. But I don't know. We've talked about formats a lot on here, and I've always liked more that, like, man, if you unload and you qualify good, like, you should start on the front row of your heat race. You should have the option to win that heat race and start on the front row of the feature. And I know that people some people will go, well, that makes the racing boring. It's like, well, then the guys behind you should get your shit better. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, we're out here being competitive. We're trying to win money. And if every time I go on the racetrack, I get handicapped because I was too fast the last time I was on the racetrack, like, well, then why are we trying to be fast, right? Yeah. Like, you can't sandbag anymore. That's not a realistic thing because everybody's within 0.2 of each other. Like, there isn't that disparity. But I hate that, a guy that goes out there and sets quick time and's got to start 4th in his heat race. Like, although it automatically puts him in the dash, like, I promise you that guy would much rather start on the pole of his heat race than have to go into turn 1 and have the chance of getting wheeled going into turn 1. Like, that's not a very comfortable feeling. Like, starting 4th in any race is like probably the worst spot you can start. And that's like, they're like, really good job going fast. Start over there. It's like, that sucks. Yeah.
Well, I remember like when I first joined the All-Star stuff, they still ran the format. So like they did a 4-car invert for the heat race. Okay. So if I go qualify second quick, I got to start 3rd. And the only way I can get to the dash is I got to go win that thing. But the guy that qualified 4th in our group starts on the pole, and he's got a better shot at winning the dash than me. So there was a little bit of those games of trying to be played. Now it's not easy to do, right? But like you either had to go quick time, which is, it's hard as hell to do, or you'd be better off just maybe trying to run just under the curb one corner, you know what I'm saying? And try to get 4th so you could get to the pole. And that was the hardest thing. And that was in 2021. Now, then we go into 2022, and then they adopted the PA Speed Week format, which was basically what the high limit format is now. The quick timer goes to 4th, and then it's heads up, which I feel like is a little bit more fair.
Yeah. Well, at least that way it gives you a real shot that all you got to do is just transfer and you're good. But, yeah, I would not. You definitely, that was the format I was racing at, where if you qualified 4th in your group and you start on the pole, like, I'm sandbagging. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
Right? Like, damn, I ripped 1 and 2. I definitely got a lift down here. Like, I really don't want to start 3rd because that's, that sucks. But, yeah, it's, it does make for good racing and it makes for good TV, and I get that. And that's, at the end of the day, as much as we're racing for money and all that stuff with all the streaming, we are very much in the entertainment business. And I think that's a harsh reality sometimes that guys have to realize. Like, I do get it. We are going out here and we're spending a lot, but the people in the stands and the people watching at home are what is ultimately paying us. So it's like we do have to find a way to put on a show. And I did tell Savannah the other night, I said, I can't wait to go back to Knoxville and bitch about the format so that everybody gets mad on me on social media, because it's like there's nothing better. Like I just wait until, Thursday or Friday, and then I start bitching about the format and saying how I hate the invert and all that. And like, I truly just do it because I get to watch all these sprint car homers get so mad. And it's like, there's nothing better. I'm like, I can't wait, because it's just like my comment section's full. I'm like 9 drinks in during hot laps, just over here just working my thumbs, just letting Twitter fly. And Savannah's going, will you get off that thing? I'm like, no. Sprint car fan 0901 is pissed, and this is awesome.
Do you guys do any, like when you go to like World 100 or something like that, do you guys run like a special format for that race?
Yeah, so the World 100 format is split where we run 2 features each night. Well, I guess actually they went back. They changed it last year. It used to be 2 features each night. It was A, B, and you accumulated points throughout the weekend. Yep. And then on Saturday, your points lined up, and then they spin the wheel of the invert, which is like a 2, a 4. Well, I guess now it's 2, 4, 6. It used to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they got rid of all that. And I think now it's 3, 4, 5, and 6. I think you're right. And then that inverts the heat races for Saturday. So you could be the high point guy and start 6th in the first heat race on Saturday night when it's wide ass open at Eldora, and be running a B main even if you won both prelim nights the first night. So it's a lot. I would say it's similar to the Knoxville style, which I don't mind that as much at those places because listen, those are the hardest races to win. They should be hard, and so I can understand that a little bit more. When you're doing the invert stuff and you're on like a bull ring or somewhere like that, it's like these inverts aren't really that good. Like these don't make a lot of sense here. But yeah, we do them at Eldora. Now I've never even sniffed the invert at Eldora on Saturday. Normally I'm like 5th row, 6th row. I'm like, I'm just trying to start 9th and run like 6th so I can have a fighting chance in the B main, on Saturday night. But, maybe one of these years I'll hit it all just right and make like the front row of the heat race. And then hell's going to freeze over right before we start the A mains on Saturday.
Well, the Kings Royal's got a unique format.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of why I was wondering, like, we're talking about formats, and I'm thinking like our big shows all have unique formats. I figured your guys' did too.
Yeah.
The year that Moran won the first million, I still remember when Scott got second, Bloomer gets second, and he's pissed off upstairs, when we were doing the interviews. And I remember that he looked right at me and he goes, man, this is a fucking joke. And I'm like, he's like, I worked my ass off. He goes, I go, quick qualifier. He goes, I just want to know one thing. Where else could you possibly go and qualify 36th and not have to fucking pass a car and get $1 million?
Yeah.
I'll never forget it. He looked right at me. He goes, I'll tell you where, right here.
Yeah.
Well, that's like King's Royals. There was two years in a row I set quick time at King's Royal, but you got to spin that damn invert wheel, and then you start 6th or I guess one year it was 4th. I started 4th one year and 6th the other year, and then you run 3rd in the heat race and you start 18th, and you're sitting here going, well, how did I'm the fastest car on the racetrack right now. How am I starting in the back, and then a guy, like you said, a guy that qualifies 36th or 34th or whatever the hell it is, starts on the front row of the heat, it's hammered down, say whatever. And he's on the pole of the second biggest sprint car race of the year. Like, and I'm back here in 18th and I just went quick time. What?
But they tell you though, even though you didn't make it in, but we got a spot for you, but since you went fast time, you can start 20th tonight.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. That's a real achievement. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my guys are super pumped up about that. We went quick time, didn't transfer through, but we get to start. We got a provisional spot here for going super fast early.
How many guys have won the Kings Royal from 20th?
Probably Donnie. If
I was going to say Big Don would be the only one to come to mind. Yeah, there's no doubt. Well, and
that's like Gordy said that one of his coolest trophies is winning the year that he won the B. He's got it because he won the B main at Knoxville and went on and win the A main that night.
Yeah, I was sitting in there doing the podcast and I was like, he's got all these Knoxville National, trophies, the championship trophies, and then there's just like one outlier in the middle and it says Knoxville Nationals B main, and I was like, why does he have a B main trophy in here? And then I looked just a little bit further left, and then it was the same year, Knoxville Nationals A main. I was like, oh, that one's pretty cool. Like, that's pretty badass. Like, you won the B main and the A main at Knoxville that night. Like, nobody could beat you. That's cool.
It's funny you say that about the B main trophy, because I won a B main one year on Saturday at Knoxville, and it's funny because I thought it was cool. I'm like, oh, I got a trophy for this. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a little pissed off because I didn't already be in the show, but I thought it was a cool trophy, and it's hanging up at Tom Book's shop, and then, but I'll tell you what, one year on the prelim night, we ran 3rd, and we were pissed. I don't know where that trophy ended up, but you're pissed off because you run third on the prelim night, which is like, it's kind of cool to keep the B main trophy.
Dude, absolutely. Hey, it's a memory you'll always have when you look at it. You're like, damn, you know what? We won the B main at Knoxville. And actually, though, looking at the payout at Knoxville, to win the B main at Knoxville, it pays. Oh, so it's not like it's, just here's your trophy. Like, it pays if you're winning that race as well.
Well, dude, like you can run fifth. So you can run fifth, which is you don't make the Knoxville Nationals. You run fifth in a B, it's like 10 grand. Yeah. I mean, it's unreal how much it pays throughout the B main.
Yeah. Well, it should, because I mean, going up there and watching how hard you guys, just ragged all them race cars for 4 nights or whatever it is, like, it should pay at least 10 grand, even if you don't make the race. Cause like I'm sure your experiences up there, like, I've never even raced at Knoxville. Yeah, I have. I ran a simulator race at Knoxville one time on iRacing.
Oh yeah.
But watching the sprint car races from up there, like, you guys run on the ragged edge the entire time you're there. Like, it's even whether you're on the bottom or the top, it's qualifying, it's the end of the feature. Like, you have to be on the ragged edge if you want to have speed at that place, and it's so entertaining to watch. But I can only imagine what it's like for you in the race car, trying to slice and dice at that place, running 130, 140 mile an hour at the end of the straightaway.
Yeah, the way I approach Knoxville still is how I used to approach Eldora when I first started going there. Like, it's super, like, you're almost timid. Like, you're not necessarily on the throttle, like you're hard on the throttle, but like it just, every time you do a little this or a little that, like, you're scrubbing a half a tenth every single time, right? So like I'd go to Eldora and I would have to like really think about what I'm doing and like really try to like slow everything down and look further ahead, like rather than just get the thing and rip it like you would any other night, and like at Knoxville, especially in qualifying, it's that way still. But like, even when you're racing, like, you're very timid might not be the right word, but you're very like having to be methodical the entire time, but you're never lifting. Like, the only time you're ever lifting is like when you're like, you enter on the top and you try to like do a turn down and you're like coming across track. You lift for just a second to try to like get across the slick. And then like, as soon as you catch all this grip on the bottom, it's like right back to it, just full mat, and like the crazy thing is about Knoxville is like the Nationals specifically is like, you go, like, my prelim night's always on Wednesday. Well, it's 9 times out of 10, it's fast and hammer down on Wednesday. And then Thursday is like just slightly slicker. Friday's a little bit more slick than that. But then Saturday, come main time, it's like full bore, like detune the thing, take gear out of it, half throttle down the straightaway. Like, it's just a crazy deal that they have. And like, when you're ripping, like, especially the last half of the race on Saturday, like, you might only be half throttle. Sometimes you might be quarter throttle going down the straightaway. But once you lay into the bottom and like you catch grip, you're like almost full mat again through the corner, and then you catch the straightaway and then you lift again to go straight. It's such an odd deal.
Yeah. Well, I know, like, we sit up there in the shot suite at the Hall of Fame, and like, watching qualifying is always crazy, because from that vantage point, the way the sun sets and all that stuff, you can see where the racetrack's still sloppy wet kind of in the bottom, and then there's that little lane of grip right above it, and then if you look at the top, it's kind of the same way. Like, it's still mucky in one point, and the fine line that you have to run to be, towards the top of the board is like inches. Like, if you go down into 1 and 2 and just barely get down to the berm instead of just staying that, quarter of a lane up, you're not even in the ballpark. And then the guy will go in and run the top, and like, he won't even look like he's in the top, but he's just hauling ass. And watching how little the wheel movement has to be and all of those things, like, I think that's what I appreciate it so much, because it's like, that's not easy to do as fast as you're going either, and especially like the way you exit 2 and everybody's kind of tailing off of 2 and the leffers are down, and then just like pick which way you want to go in 3 and 4, and how, if you have to hit the bottom, I feel like watching there, like, if you miss by 6 inches, like, you're like a second off the pace. It's the craziest shit I've ever seen, especially later when it starts to blow off. Like, you barely miss it and you're liable to lose 2 spots by the time you leave turn 4.
Yeah. And I think like for you, like, you're a driver, right? But like, even though it's a late model, like, you can appreciate that because you're seeing like how tight it is, right? Like how the little bit of a difference makes such a huge difference in time, and like I swear, like you can watch too, like any of them prelim nights, like the first qualifier can go out, or the first couple qualifiers can go out. But the bottom's still like greasy. You can't get all the way down there. So they can just kind of rip right above it and make speed and they'll time well. Well, then like in the middle of it, it almost like drops off. And then someone towards the end is going to go out there and the bottom finally is not greasy and they just burn a lap in the third quick. And it's like, well, how did the 40 cars in front of you how come they couldn't do it? And it's like, well, the track just finally came in but he was the first one to realize it, or the first one that had the balls to like lose one of his laps to even test the waters,
Yeah. 100%.
Is that one of, you always see about when I talk to the different drivers at the Nationals, it's like the pill draw. You can almost tell somebody when you talk to them before you even get in the pits, before you even get the handshake, you could tell it's like they got a bad pill draw, for the Nationals. It's like,
I've been on both sides of that coin, right? Like I've been there and like pulled a 15, and to go out and you end up second quick or quick time or whatever, and you're pumped because, you just maximize your points, but then you start thinking about it and you're like, shit, I got to start 8th or whatever it is in the heat race. And I got to run 3rd here just to transfer into this deal. Like that's the hard part about it. But I've also been on the other side too. Like the last couple of years, I've pulled say something on the back row, like, been in the last 10 cars to go out for qualifying, and you can still go out there and do it, right? Like, okay, well, I'm going to go out here and I qualify, say 10th or 12th or whatever it is. Well, I'm still in good shape because now I'm going to start 5th or 4th or whatever the case is. If I go out here and win this thing or run second, I'm in the show and I still got decent, good enough points where I'm not necessarily in the hunt for the pole of the Knoxville Nationals, but I can still go out here and start 6th on Saturday. You know what I mean? If you just put all your stuff together. And I think that's kind of where it becomes not easier, but it's easier for your full-time traveling teams because they kind of are under those, like the pressure doesn't necessarily get to you. You know what I mean? Like, the job that's at hand, like I got to go out here and I got to do this. Well, the best guys and the best teams are going to maximize their opportunities and be successful in that situation. And, the impressive part to me is seeing someone that's not a full-time team that can go out late in qualifying, set themselves up through the heat. Like Cameron Martin last year did that, right? He goes out kind of late in qualifying, rips a lap, does good in his heat, does good in the feature. Boom, he's 16th. He starts 16th at Knoxville Nationals. It's like, that's impressive. The fact that you were able to accomplish that.
Dude, 100%. Because especially I think nowadays too, because there's so many big teams across the board that like it's really hard for a team that's not a full-time traveling team to go in there and have that kind of success at that racetrack in those moments. Like it's tough to do. And it was cool because it was like, damn, he's hauling ass, you weren't really expecting it. And you're just like, all right, well, good for you, Cameron Martin. Gas on it, dude. Like, and fire it up. But yeah, I don't know. It's like I said, I love that event, and I've said it a million times on the show. Like, I'll never not miss one now. Especially it's so fun going and watching Donnie, and I've been spoiled going there a few times now. Watching he won the Nationals in one year and won a prelim night the next, and and like those things are so cool. But I'm like, dude, I get to just truly go be a race fan and hang out and just do whatever I want. And obviously I'm friends with so many of you guys now that it's like enjoyable for me. 'Cause it's like I walk through the pit area and I can pretty much stop on, almost every other hauler and know somebody and shoot the shit or whatever it is. And also know that I'm going to get invited to the after parties. Like I'm going to know where everybody's going. So like, I'm good to go then. I'm like, all right, cool.
So I used to go to Gateway just as a fan, just because that was like the one opportunity to sit there and be a race fan. And I always liked that too. Well, I like downtown St. Louis in the first place, which helps. But like, it's just cool. It's in the city. You get to go see late model races. You know what I'm saying? Modified races. You get to go hang out and just be a fan, see the different aspects of how other guys do shit. And then you get to go to the PBR bar afterwards or wherever the hell the after party's at. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I can't remember that one. I think, what was it, like 23 you were there with us? I can't remember what year, 22.
I don't remember either. I was there for like I went 4 or 5 years in a row, but I didn't really know any late model guys first couple years. So I was just kind of off with my sprint car buddies hanging out in the late model country.
I know the years that we had the midget races there with us, dude. I'm telling you, going to PBR was like, it was like this star-studded affair of like every race car driver. So it was like, all right, we're all going there. And I can remember the one night it was like me, Seavey, Stenhouse, Hoffman, Boyles. There was like 13 of us in this huge group, and I just remember this guy walked up to us and it's like, holy shit, this is like all my favorite race car drivers in one area. And he's like, and I don't remember. I think he was like a midget fan and said something to Stenhouse like, hey, can we, can I buy you a beer or something? And Ricky's like, well, you can buy one for everybody if you're buying one. And the guy's like, oh, I don't think I want to do that. Like, oh, well, see you later, buddy. I gotta go. Oh yeah, no, the Dome is a blast. We've talked about it a million times, but you just can't. It's the same deal. It's its own atmosphere. It's 3 days of hanging out and partying with your buddies and racing and carrying on and doing all kinds of stupid shit. So who doesn't want to do that?
So Justin, when you're watching late model races, who you watching? You got a favorite driver? You know?
Truthfully, it just kind of depends what races you're watching. You know what I mean? Because if you're watching, if you're watching speed weeks, it's like, well, I know half the field. You know what I'm saying? So it's like whoever's doing good, that's who you're rooting for. It's like, oh, I know that guy. Let's go. You know what I mean? Yeah. But if you're watching, Fairbury or something, you don't get it. It's a little different crowd. You know what I'm saying? So no, I wouldn't say I truthfully root for anybody, but I do need to get a Gordy Gundaker shirt though. Now I see he's wearing all the sprint car guys stuff. I gotta rep somebody in the late model world.
All right, yeah,
dude, he's getting more and more. It's funny when we started the show. Gordy's probably one of the biggest sprint car fans. I don't say it just because he's here on the show with me. It's just
I love it.
He loves all racing, but I mean, really, he follows it pretty good. He knows he knows what everybody's fucking doing. I'm telling you that.
Yeah.
Well,
it helps too because I always I watch Big Don, just religiously. Like if he's racing, I'm watching. Like I want to watch what he's doing because I just never know when he's going to call me and want to talk about the weekend or whatever it may be. And so it's like I'm always tuned into it. But same deal. It's like, I have so many buddies between, obviously I've known Chris and Tyler for a long time. So I root for those guys. I've known them for 10, 12 years now. Growing up at Tri-City and getting to hang out with all of them, I want my buddies to do good. And so the only way to watch and know if they're doing good or if they suck is if I watch it. So, that's just part of it. And so, yeah, it's happened more over time, I guess, that I've been way more involved in wanting to watch it and all that and hanging out with Ripper, a ton in 2020, 2021, 22, hell, they were at the race shop a bunch or we were all over the place, hanging with them. I'm I got to be around it a lot more. And I'm damn, this shit is actually so cool. I want to be caught up in it. So, yeah, I don't know. I try. Actually, what's funny is the World of Outlaw Command Center is at my race shop right now. So if that tells you anything. So I got that there. So I'm going to go put a bunch of high limit stickers all over it and see if I can piss them off. No, I'm not doing that.
Put some apples on the steps.
Yeah, wow. Right. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's cool. And I'm a race fan at heart. Obviously with mom and dad having the racetrack, I've watched all those guys come in and race and been there for it. And, I'm just a passionate fan for racing, although I do race myself. So it's easy for me. It's just second nature. I don't know anything different. It's no different than for you. It's when racing's in your blood, you just don't know anything else. That's just what you know. That's what you want to watch. I'm a sports guy and I'll watch that, but if racing's on, I'm watching racing. I can't help it. It doesn't matter if they're racing the Cars Tour or they're racing the snowmobiles. I'm watching on Flow. I want to see what's going on. I want to see some dude do some wild shit somewhere, across the country. So yeah, we'll definitely got to trade some shirts. We can do that. Yeah. We got.
I'm headed to Knoxville this week, so
okay.
I'll hook up with Gordy before we go.
I'll send Dom with a care package for you. So yeah. You just reciprocate, so that way I got something to wear.
I got you. Yeah, we'll trade them up.
We're both gonna have to pick up the pace because then people are gonna go, "Why the fuck are you wearing that guy's shirt?" Yeah, we can't be sucking and wearing each other's shirts. That's not going to look good for us. They're oh, look, the mediocre crew's wearing each other's shirts again. Good job, guys.
I'll work on that this weekend for you.
All right, cool. No, I'm pumped. Well, hopefully, I don't know when. Probably won't be till Knoxville, but hopefully we can find a way to cross paths at some point. Well, hell, if you're ever out in the Midwest and you need a shop to stay at, you can just go over here and stay at mine. I'll fill the cooler. I'll fill the cooler all the way up because it'll be gone by the time we're done. So it'll be all right. Yeah. both the girls are gonna be pissed because it'll be like 3-4 in the morning and we're still gonna be up hooting and hollering and carrying on.
Smelling beer in the morning.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we'll have some beer and some eggs in the morning, and we'll ship it on down the road. We'll be all right.
You do have one of the best celebrations. He always does.
Oh yeah,
He's got a great celebration. It's always fun to watch, Justin.
That was Tom Book. He came up with that one, so I can't even take the credit for it.
really?
Yeah. So I don't even remember how it happened, but I won a race at Port Royal or something. It was the first race I'd won for him, and it just so happened that he was there at the track. And when I pulled into Victory Lane, he was down there, and he handed me a beer, and I'm like, "Oh, sweet, thanks, man. Just hold on to it." He goes, "No, spray that thing," So, all right, sweet.
Go on with it. Yeah, I could do that.
Well, it was popular. Everybody liked this, and then it just stuck.
Right. Yeah. Hey, well, it helps too. You like drinking beer, so it's like two your favorite things all caught in one: winning, beer. Good. It's perfect. Yeah. Hey, we had Thorson on a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about it's like, dude, you got to celebrate those because the wins are, they come so far in between sometimes that like you don't know when the last one's going to be. It's like, man, you got to live those up. You got to drink some beer and hang out and let everybody celebrate it because if not, why are we doing all this? Like, you got to have some fun. And I always listen. I don't know if you listen to it, like the Dale Jr. Download. Dude, listening to him talk about the way they used to party and celebrate shit, I'm like, dude, that's the way that you should be doing it. Like, obviously, it helped he had a Budweiser sponsorship, but dude, I couldn't imagine the amount of beers they were depleting after a Daytona 500 win or something like that.
I couldn't imagine. Yeah, I thought I think I celebrate good, but I'm sure those guys like blew me out of the water.
Yeah. Well, if wherever you win the next big one at, I'll fly to wherever you're going to have the party at, and then I'll come join in on that. But if I win one, then you got to do the same. That's the deal.
Hey, I'm in. I'm fucking in.
Yeah. Perfect. I love it.
Hey, Justin, one of the things our fans get a kick out of is when we get to kind of know the racer a little bit different, and they always like to know what you guys are listening to. Yeah. What's Justin Peck? What's he listening to? What's on his set list? What's your playlist look like right now?
Well, I can tell you that most race fans hate the music that I listen to. Did you guys ever pay attention to the driver playlist that we did last year?
I kind of.
Well, so I listen to a lot of like old school rap, like 50 Cent and Tupac and Dr. Dre and stuff like that. I like some of the new stuff also, but a lot of dirt race fans don't like that kind of music apparently because they all blasted me about it. Yeah, I mix it up though. Like sometimes I like Metallica and like some rock and roll. Like if I'm working in the shop, usually it's probably some rock and roll and stuff like that. But or maybe even some heavy metal. I kind of like some heavy metal stuff. But if it's just me, I'm usually listening to rap.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm kind of all over the map with it, but my little brother is like Tupac, Biggie, all that old shit, and my old man can't stand it because he'll be in the shop and Trevor will have his shit just full bore, and it's like old Tupac or something, and my dad's like, I can't believe you guys listen to this shit, and Trevor's over there just rapping every word of it. You just let him have it. Yeah. No. What are we doing in your off days though? Outside of if you're getting away from the racetrack, outside of spending time with AB, what are you doing besides that?
Right now I'm doing a lot of fishing. It used to be golf. I try to go golfing and stuff on the off days, and I go to my, not so much right at this very moment, but I normally would go to my parents' house a lot. Like they they've got my dogs over there and stuff. I try to go over there and try to like smoke some meat or something, you know what I mean? Throw something on the grill, something like that. But right now it just seems like fishing, man. I don't know. I've kind of got a little bass fishing bug, so it seems like when I get the opportunity, I'm chasing that.
Yeah, peaceful, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's and Alex is into it too. She likes going fishing, so it's easy. I don't have to. Alex, I'll be home late tonight. I'm gonna wait till the sun goes down. It's like usually she's with me, so it doesn't really matter.
Right. That works out good then.
I think that's great. Hey, the other thing is, I was telling Gordy, because Gordy and I, we go to the casino a little bit. It was sports betting or whatever, but I was telling you, that Terre Haute casino, have you been to that one? the new casino there in Terre Haute?
I just took Alex there for her birthday like 2 weeks ago.
That's one of the nicest casinos I've ever seen, and I know it's not far from you.
It's great story actually.
See, I had to throw it out there because we all like.
So I had asked Alex what she wanted to do for her birthday, and we really couldn't figure anything out. And I'm like, well, generally on my birthday or her birthday, we'll go to the casino, right? So I got us a hotel room. It is like a little over an hour away, hour and 10 minutes away from Brownsburg or something like that. And so I got a room for us, and it was like, I think it was Easter Sunday. Yeah, it was Easter Sunday that we went. And so we go there, we check in the room, had a couple drinks, just kind of bouncing around, played a little blackjack, played a little slots, and Alex is she's wanting to keep playing, and I'm about ready for bed. It's getting about midnight now, and she sits down on the slot machine, and I'm like, all right, I got to wait on this. So I'm waiting on her, and I just so happen to look to my right, and there's this slot machine. I don't even remember the name of it because I'd never even heard of it. I just sat down, put $100 in. All right, $10 spin, hit a bonus. Oh, sweet, hit the bonus, right? And it thing kept growing and growing and growing, and finally at the end of grand jackpot, I hit a $15,000 grand at that.
No shit.
No way.
And I wanted to go to bed. I didn't even want to keep playing.
Yeah, no shit. Good thing she kept you up for that.
I know. Well, and I had asked Alex, like I said, Alex, you want in on this? Because like sometimes I'll put 100 in, she'll put 100 in, and we'll just split the winnings, right? If you win.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Well, I'm playing this one. All right, I'm going to play this one. Okay, sounds good." And then she sees me win, and she goes, "Damn it! Why didn't I get in on that?"
It is. I'm telling you though, it's one of the nicest ones I've ever been in. I told Gordy, I go, man, he has got to go there.
Yeah.
It's only like 2 years old, I think. I think it just got finished in 2024.
Yeah.
I mean, just the way it's designed, it's got everything like the way it sits in that circle. The bars in the circle, the outer restaurants are on the other side. You got the crap tables over here, and then it's so well designed. Yeah. It's easy to move around in, but no, that's a great story.
Well, we might have to just plan a night and go there, and we're going to go find that same slot machine again. That's what we're going to have to do.
Yeah, I can visualize. I know where it's sitting at. I just don't remember the name of it.
Dude, I'm telling you, that's one of the fun. I don't know how much you guys stop on the road and do that. Like, I know when we're out racing, there's been numerous times that like Hoffman and JD and McCready and all of us, we'll find a casino, park the rigs in there, and like usually about 3 hours in, all of us will be like, all right, we're all gonna put $100 in this slot machine and see what happens. And like, dude, there's nothing more fun than just having beers and just hammering the slot machine with your boys and praying to God it hits something fun. Yeah, you're just like, yeah.
15 grand, that's a nice hit.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, I've been, hitting, playing slots and stuff. I think the biggest win I'd had was like $1,800, and then all of a sudden it's like 15 grand. I'm like, all right, I'm done. My gambling career's over. I'm done. Which is not true because I went yesterday. But
did they come out and like take the big picture, hand you the big check and everything else?
Well, so they asked me, they go, do you want your picture taken? I'm like, nah, just give me the cash. I'm fine. I'm going up to the room. I'll see you guys later.
Yeah. Don't hang my picture on the wall. That's not one picture I want to be made. We're good. Don't let everybody know I made all this money. Oh, shit. That's awesome. Well, dude, we appreciate you hopping on with us and shooting the shit for a while. So, obviously good luck tomorrow at Eagle and this upcoming weekend. And and make sure my shirts make it with Don. I'm a large T-shirt and XL hoodie though. Don't forget it.
I got you.
Yeah. So,
thanks for having me on, fellas.
Yep. We appreciate it, and good luck, and we'll talk soon, brother.
Yep. Take care, guys.
We just had a great guest on, Gordy. We had Justin Peck on and covered a lot of ground, and we're going to recap the show a little bit based on what we saw last week. We'll start with the sprint car side of it. Naturally, weather was a major factor last week, and basically, Wheatland is basically just tells you what kind of facility they have, first of all, that they were able even to race on Saturday. And actually, if you watched it, they packed the track probably. Casey will probably tell you, we probably packed it too hard. It made it really kind of hard to work with on Saturday. And as much as they had a great crowd, great field of cars, even for what Wheatland did to put on the show, you got to give them kudos.
Yeah, I mean, that's what, even looking at all the weather last week, you could kind of see, I was kind of keeping track of it. Obviously, we were trying to race Burlington. We get rained out. The dominoes kind of kept falling after that. All the places that canceled, you know, my dad and I were talking about how many races got canceled last weekend. It was pretty crazy. And but Wheatland's kind of that outlier. They can manage that much rain. They have a great drainage system. They got the perfect pit area for it because it's, you know, it's paved and all those things. And to see how good the racetrack really was, how smooth it still was, and, you know, what they were able to accomplish racing on it. I mean, I'm sure if you asked them guys, they would have liked to, you know, maybe say, hey, I wish we'd have had a few more lanes of racing. But to even get that event in, and not have to delay your start time a few hours or whatever it was, you know, super impressive. And you expect that out of those guys because that's what you've come to know when you go to Wheatland, right? It's like, it doesn't matter if it rains in the morning or in the afternoon or whenever it does. Like, they can get their surface ready. They can put a racetrack together that is still plenty raceable. It's smooth and you know, it was a great show for them and big time kudos for them to get that race in. You know, if not those high limit guys, obviously they race at Eagle on Tuesday, but that could have been a complete wash of a weekend and a lot of travel to get zero money out of. So I know those guys appreciate it as well, and I'm sure the high limit crew, their whole staff does. You know, Casey and their entire group up there at Lucas is second to none, and they proved it yet again why.
I got to give you a shout out to Lisa at High Limit, who handles the credentials side of it. I want to make sure I give her a shout. She's what a wonderful person.
Oh yeah.
And by the way, you know, she watches the show and stuff, but she loves you. Not so much me, but she loves you.
Yeah. No, Lisa and Eric are the best, and you know, we work really closely with them with our company at Checkered Customs. But what's funny is when I met Lisa the first time, she actually told me how she's actually a late model girl by heart. Yeah. You know, and so you know, it's just one, you know, they're just awesome, and I love working with them. And you know, I was on the phone with her earlier today. Heck, we talk probably 3, 4, 5 times a week. You know, just about whatever else we got to get done for them upcoming. But it's good hearing, you know, that they enjoy working with me as well, and we have a lot of laughs on the phone and stuff. And I'm actually going to give her a quick plug real quick that she's not going to like, but actually they showed up to pick up all their stuff before they were heading to Vegas. They just got a new hauler they're traveling in with the merchandise trailer, and Lisa actually locked the keys in this thing, and they had to call a locksmith. So sorry to kind of put you out there, Lisa, but it was too damn funny not to. And we was standing there, and me and Eric looked at each other actually and he's like, well, the only other set of keys are inside there, so it looks like we're getting a locksmith out here. So yeah, that entire staff is nothing but great people. I was on the phone with Kendra actually earlier today as well. So really enjoy, you know, getting the chance to work with a great series like High Limit and all the great people and staff that they have. You know, our company, Checker Customs, is proud to be a part of that.
And like I said, it was in kudos to Kerry Matson for picking up his first win.
Yep.
You know, and he was fast in practice. He laid down the fastest, you know, lap and hot laps, and then he went out there and backed it up all night, you know, and I know the track was a little tough at times, but the best car actually won the race.
Yeah, for sure. And listen, it's running the ragged edge at Wheatland, you know, like they were is not easy, especially the way they were doing it in 1 and 2. Like, you know, when the late models there, it's a rarity that we're plugged all the way into the top, up all the way around there, because it's really technical off of 2. And Kerry made it look really, really easy, kind of all night. You know, I'm sure the Vermeer team and the 55 guys are pumped about that. I can guarantee you they had some beers after the races, because I know the Madman can put them down. I've had a few with him and Ripper at Ocean Deck before, and you know, he's a big coils guy. Always has been. So you know, we've shared some stories about coils and having coilovers on race cars and especially sprint cars. So, you know, congrats to them on picking up a win, and just another winner on the High Limit Series this year.
Right. And then naturally Hopstock gets rained out. Of course, Jacksonville, that really stinks. They put so much effort into their event every year. And it's one of those, you almost circle. Even if you can't be there, it's like it's one of those, if you're traveling like a guy like you on the road, you're going to go find it.
Yep.
You know, and hated to see that happen. Glad to see them. They're going to get a makeup date here coming. And then Hopstock gets pushed from Saturday to Sunday. and probably one of the best races we've seen all year. And of course, we even talked about it on the show a little bit with the drama between Buddy and Tyler, and the Invader comes inside, the only one, and kind of redeemed Rico from the week before, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, put him back up on the pedestal there, and it was good to see Sonny obviously get a win, whether high limit, World of Outlaws, whatever it was, back in a 410 car. I think, obviously he mentioned it in Victory Lane that they had won some 360 races, but 410 is what he wants to do. And, super, super happy for their whole team and, Jake and all those guys. I know how hard they work and, obviously the entire Clausen Marshall group. So it's good to see Sonny get back, in Victory Lane where he belongs. And hopefully that kind of propels his 2026. But they put on a hell of a race. I mean, really, when Buddy got by him the first time, I really thought Buddy was just kind of going to drive away because he had caught him so fast and kind of cleared him so quickly. I didn't expect him just to get by that fast. And then it was like Sonny put it in another gear, like, listen, if we're going to duke it out, it's going to be an all-out brawl. And then obviously we see what happens at the end of the race, with them tangling and the words that were said after. But, two guys at the very top of the sport going at it, things are going to happen and words are going to be thrown out there and feelings are going to get hurt. That's part of racing and, shit does happen. And, guys tear up race cars, guys win races, some guys don't. It's just part of it. And it, as we talked about on the show, it adds fuel to the fire to the high limit outlaw stuff. But, just in general, that's what race fans want to see is two of the best going, tooth and nail and throwing big sliders and crowding each other and not giving each other a lot of room at a place like Hobstadt that has always given us wild races and wild finishes.
And it leads into this week. We get Eagle tomorrow night in a big pain race on the Tuesday night deal. Yep. And Buddy won this race a year ago. Yep. So does Buddy now go to the high limit side tomorrow night? I have a feeling you're going to see the Beefpacker car in the pit area. Yeah,
I would say you should. I mean, it's hard to say you shouldn't go to a race that you won the year before. But there's going to be a little bit of animosity in the pit area for sure. And hopefully the racing gods are watching us and maybe we'll load them up right on the front row of the first heat race or something. Yeah. That would be best case scenario.
I know you for sure. You're the kind of person to where if both of them are, Sonny's going to be there and the 83 is going to. It makes watching it a little bit more exciting.
Yeah.
After especially for the fan, and then we go to the sprint car capital of the world this weekend.
Yep.
And where we're going to see probably the largest turnout of the high limit series guys racing on the World of Outlaw platform this weekend at Knoxville Raceway.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's got this one etched into their schedule. Obviously, this is the first prep you get at Knoxville, for the big dance, in August. And if you're anybody, you're going, right? You have to go. Like, this is a time where you judge where you're at compared to everybody else. And, I don't know how many race cars they're going to have, but I know it's going to be a shitload. And it's going to be something that everybody's going to want to watch. I'm interested to see a lot of different things.
This event last year, Gordy, had 65 cars.
Yeah, I'd say it might have 70, maybe 80 this year, to be honest. I just think that, there's so much happening across both series right now that I don't know if there's a clear-cut favorite, right? That just walks into this event, it's like, damn, they're really on their game because gravel's been struggling. You see what happens with Buddy last night. He had been rolling. You got a lot of question marks that are happening this weekend that we're going to find out, right? Like, what's Ryan Timms going to look like? Is he going to come back there and be blistering ass again like he was in August? Or, there's just so much that's happening. And you got a lot of guys that have a lot more speed going into Knoxville this weekend than they've ever had. You think of Tanner Thorson, you got Reitzel, Justin Peck, you've got on the outlaw side, obviously you got David and Buddy and Macedo, and you put Donnie in that category, and you got Rico, who's not really been the Rico we're used to seeing, and whoever else shows up. Like, I don't know if the Big Cat's going this weekend, and I'm not sure if he's a part of that or not, but if he's there, throw his name in the mix. And
you almost feel like he's got to, with Silva, working together. I think you hit something, Gordy. I think it's very imperative. For those guys to be there.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, I don't know if they're planning on doing the Knoxville Nationals with that group. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at his schedule if it's on there or not, but if they are, obviously I would think they're going to be there for this. So, I think like I said, there's a lot happening, going into this weekend. And, you can gain obviously anybody whoever wins the Saturday night race is leaving out of there with a shitload of momentum, right? Because whoever, the who of who's is going to be there Friday and Saturday at Knoxville. And it's the first test to see what August is going to look like. Who's got the speed at Knoxville? And, it's exciting. I can't wait to kind of watch it and see what plays out.
Yeah, and the other thing we have to talk about it because, David Gravel made a little news, with the coilovers last night at Hopstadt. Naturally, Cody Jacobs always thinking outside the box a little bit, not afraid to try something different. It didn't look like he got off to a great start. David probably had one of his worst races. But then again, it's Hopstadt. And I don't think I think he won there back, I think they mentioned in 2018, something like that, when David won the last one at Hopstadt. So I'd like to get your kind of take on when you heard that.
Yeah, I think if there's a place maybe you're going to try something, that place is an outlier to where anywhere else they're going. So maybe to try to find a feel or see if it is even something they remotely want to continue trying, that might be the place to do it. Because, I mean, as you see, it's nothing against some of those guys, but listen, there's a lot of guys that were fast there last night that we haven't really seen speed out of, right? But it's such a different racetrack. Also, want to give a huge shout out to Carson Short, jumping in the Bill Baylog 17, running 6th last night. I think he started 17th or something like that. Dude, to just pile into a race car that you don't drive in a last minute deal and drive that thing up to 6, like that was impressive. It was really cool to see him do that. And obviously I'm sure their team was jacked up. If they would have probably finished 12th, they'd have been happy. They finished 6th, get a top 10, for owners points and all of those things. That's a huge deal for them. Obviously moving through their points season as it continues on, but that was really neat to see. And but yeah, I think, like I said, I just think that was probably a time if Gravel and them were going to try something. Obviously, it ends up working out because Buddy gets crashed out. Now they gained points. But, yeah, listen, in this game, you have to always be willing to try and learn and work at something to find more speed. And obviously, they haven't been as fast as they probably would want. I mean, obviously, they've still won races and things, but you can never get stagnant and think that you're just – on top of everybody, because the second that you take a deep breath and think, okay, we can settle in for a little bit, is the second that the whole group blows right by you as far as learning and getting an edge. So that's just part of this game. And you're, obviously Tanner's had success this year with it. And I think that has played into some of it. That, listen, if a guy's out there winning national touring races on something very different than what everybody else has, like, you have to try some things. I know there was guys that were playing around with right rear coils and some doing left rear coils. That's been a thing over the last few years. And sometimes it's just what you have to try and do to see what is still out there. Is there more speed? Is there another 10th or is there a half a 10th or whatever it is? Because it all matters. Every lap, every finishing position counts at the end of the year. So you have to be willing to try something different if you want to continue winning championships.
Real quick, Eagle, who you like?
Honestly, it's really tough because I would like to say, our boy Aaron, I feel like that's kind of up his wheelhouse. Obviously a struggle Saturday, so I think he's probably going to have a little bit of vengeance going into this, we can't have 2 nights where we suck in a row. So I expect the 87 to be pretty sporty. I also expect Rico to be good. I think that's going to be one that, maybe they kind of pick the pace back up. Rico's, that fits his style to grip it and rip it and get after it. So I would say the 87 or the 24.
I think momentum carries into a little bit, and I think Sunshine coming off the win now, you know how it is.
Yep.
You get that one, and sometimes you can get hot, like Justin even said. You get on a little roll.
Yeah.
I kind of like the 7BC there. in Knoxville this weekend, I'll turn it back around with you. I think the 2-car shows everybody who the boss is.
Okay. Yeah, I don't hate that pick. I mean, I think that's kind of
you could tell by his one interview, like I'm ready to spread my wings at Knoxville.
Right.
You could tell they were.
Yep.
They're
Kind of itching at it. Yeah, I think so too. I think David's going to be very, very tough up there. Obviously he was really strong last year coming from the back on Saturday night to, I don't remember what he ended up 4th or something along those lines. I'm going to take Carson Macedo on Saturday. I think Carson's been kind of clipping him along. I feel like everywhere he's been, they've been pretty fast. He's obviously, that's where, he had that bad accident a couple years ago. But when I look at it, I think the 41 team, Philip Dietz and those guys, they have a lot of notes, a lot of good history there. And, I think I think the 41 gets it done.
Okay. And we're definitely, Gordy and I were talking a little bit about, we want to give a driver props too that we've been noticing. Chase Dietz is really off to a phenomenal start on the East Coast against some of the best competition. He's already, over the weekend, he had already won the week before 2 races. The week before that, he had won a race. He's won races like every weekend out on in this weekend, he ran second to Wagaman at Williams Grove and was hunting him at the end of the race. And you saw it. And then he comes right back at Lincoln and wins at Lincoln on Saturday. So Gordy and I want to make sure we give big props out to Chase Dietz. We all know that team looks like they're really, we expect it from Dietrich and the Macaries of the world, but Chase Dietz looks like that team may be the team right now in PA. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, listen, those guys up there, everybody that goes and races in PA local league or, every week, there's no slackers in that deal. And obviously with Anthony being out, that kind of leaves a void that needs to be filled. And Chase has stepped right in there and said, hey, listen, Anthony's not here. I'm going to let you boys know, who you're chasing, and has done that very well over the last few weeks. And, we talked about it a few weeks ago on the show that he's, looking to travel out a little more, and he's proving why I think he can do that, why he can step out of his comfort zone, because he's winning those races up there, and you don't just win those just because you run into a strand of good luck. It's for a reason, and they've got a lot of momentum, and I'm excited to kind of see what happens when, the big boys get up there and race with him too, because he's going to have a lot of notes and a lot of speed whenever they do.
Well, now we're going to go to the late model side. And the first thing we got to talk about is the man that took home all the money. Got the big bonus.
Yep.
Gordy's buddy, JD, of course, takes home the $100,000 bonus. Naturally wins a preliminary night and to get it all done. It had to be north of 150, right?
I think it was like 137. He won the 7,500 to win on Wednesday or whatever that was. And then, obviously DNF
you get the 30
nights.
You get the 30 plus the 100.
Yeah. So it was a good weekend for him. He did okay, I would say.
You're not feeling sorry for him?
No. Actually, obviously, congrats to those guys. I love all that entire group, and I think
it set the stage though for a great event because Overton winning, of course, the big boys are up there.
Well, you had 3 different winners. That's best case scenario for Vic and their guys down there. And, I hated to see that they didn't have the car count they were looking for. But man, it was packed.
Yes.
Vic is just one of those, dude, he's just one of the good guys of the sport. Obviously, listen, he's building motors. He's putting Jimmy Owens in a race car. He's working his tail off out there at Volunteer and puts all that money out there, and somebody wins the bonus. I know those guys appreciate it, obviously. Anybody that's walking out with a 6-figure payday is going to be happy. But, it was best case scenario going into Saturday. You got 3 different guys that can win the $100,000. I think worst case scenario was they were all in the same heat race. That was probably worst case scenario. It was like, shit. Well, instead of all these guys starting up front and really duking it out, it was pretty much, okay, whoever wins this heat race has clearly the best shot to win it. And you could tell the way JD started that heat race, like, he was not going to let Chris Madden beat him to turn 1. It did not matter. It was like Shades of Eldora again. They had $1 million lineup again, and Yeah, and that's what it's all about, and I think that's what Vic was striving for, and I think he succeeded in that. In putting that event on. I hope that he had success. Obviously he has to pay out $100,000 to Superman over there. So, but yeah, it was, cool for those guys to win that. Anytime anybody can win a big bonus like that, it's pretty neat.
It's great for sport.
This is what happens though when the 49 is not points racing and you let him just go pick and choose what he wants to do. God, everywhere he's unloaded, he's been fast. Well, you think
you're
about that.
You're going to see a lot of weekends, Gory, is what you're telling me. We're going to see a lot of weekends, what we just saw.
I guess the way you look at it, he racked up $165,000 in 7 days, in a sense. Well, 8 days. From Friday at Wheatland till Saturday at Volunteer, it was $165,000.
And you got to witness some of it.
Yeah, I got my ass whooped down there at Wheatland. Yeah, I think we all did. None of us, we couldn't even see the cape flapping off the back of that thing. He was so far gone. So, dude, they're hitting on all cylinders. And one of the things I will say about those guys, though, is man, they work their tails off for it. It's not by luck or by anything. Yeah. I know that they actually, whenever JD got in the fence the other night, them boys trekked all the way to Longhorn Sunday morning to make sure that car was okay. And hell, I talked to Tyler Bragg at 1 o'clock our time, and they were getting ready to go on the jig. They had pretty much a race car disassembled to check it out, make sure everything was all square. So those wins don't come from by luck or anything. They're a well-oiled machine with obviously great team owner, and Lance Landers and Darla, and obviously, with great support from Steve Martin, who, obviously also supports us. But when you give the best guy, the best race car driver in the country, the best equipment and crew guys that work their tails off and give him everything he needs to succeed, that's what happens. It's going to be tough beating him just about anywhere. And I would say that, Tony's probably got his Sharpie fired up at Eldora already. Probably got the J already signed into some of them checks, so it makes it a little bit easier on his hand. It's going to be tough to beat him anywhere he goes right now because they're going in there with no purpose but to win, and that's scary.
And now we're going to talk a little bit about what's upcoming for the weekend. The Lucas Series, of course, everybody they're on the East Coast. They start off at Georgetown, and then they go to Baps for a 25,000 win race. And never been there before, which I think is very interesting how that's going to play out. And then, of course, they go to Hagerstown, which is such a traditional racetrack. Right. A lot of history at Hagerstown. And real quick, and I'm going to tell you this a little bit about these three races, Gory. Last year, Moran won at Georgetown, and RTJ won at Hagerstown. We have really no notes at Baps. But there's a guy that we had on the show at 2 podium finishes at 2 of these racetracks. Garrett.
Yep.
Garrett Alverson really ran well at Georgetown and Hagerstown last year. Is this where we see the 58? Maybe get us first. Get that win this week?
No. I think Rocket 1 wins every one of them.
I like what you're thinking because of Mark's history.
Listen, Mark knows them racetracks, and they have been fast, and they're prepared for this weekend. They took last weekend off. Their shit's ready. That means the big boys are getting dropped into the holes this week. The fresh motors will be ready to sing. I think it's going to be very, very tough to beat the Rocket 1 this weekend.
But you're saying Daddy's back.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, it's scary. Those
guys. Happy for Mark and that team.
Yeah, I think they're going to be really good. Obviously Devin has been very fast in a lot of these places. I do think Garrett will be right up there. Listen, he's got good notes. Showed speed there last year. If he rips one off, I hope he does. Honestly. It's just really, really hard to give the Rocket 1 team a week off to prepare for this shit and put some fresh bullets in and go, okay, well, we're going to race up in our area now. Good luck to the rest of you. Because last year at this time, they were not what they are now.
Right.
They were not even in the ballpark of what they are now. So, I think they're going to be really, really tough for sure.
And then the Outlaws, of course, the World of Outlaw Late Model Series treks down to Talladega, Alabama. And earlier this year, they're paying a $12,000 to win and a $25,000, so nice purses, and plus you get to be at both, basically the entire weekend. And I know Gordy's going down there, but they did have a Hunt the Front race early in the year that Huddy won in Rumley's car. But Huddy, of course, will not be there.
Right.
So, but and I'm curious, I'll let you talk a little bit about your weekend, because Gordy, I'm sure a lot of people are going, Gordy's going where, to Talladega?
That's all I've heard. I've heard it from so many people. Like, why are you going down there? And honestly, the last time we were there, I had success on the prelim night. I run second. That was when they actually ran like 4 features the one night, and I run second in my deal, and wasn't great on Saturday by any means. Kind of my first trip there, and didn't understand what the racetrack was going to do, and didn't make enough changes. And but I look at it as a good opportunity for me to go down there, and they're paying good money both nights. That's a bull ring still at the end of the day, and that kind of feeds more into my style. And obviously looked at the Mars races and the MLRA stuff this upcoming weekend at some places around here, and really nothing against any of the stuff they're doing, but the week after we go to Mississippi Thunder, and there's no better way to gauge where you're at with your program than racing with those guys, right? Like, I'm going to be racing with them the next weekend. I'd like to go down there and kind of see, okay, hey, are we close? Are we not close? Do we got shit we need to work on? Or there are some things we just need to tweak on? And the only way you do that is go race with those guys. And, it's a little bit of a trek and but listen, it's a great payout both nights. And if you can go down there and knock off a couple top 10s, listen, you got some money to make, and go back and go, okay, we got something that we can write home about, or hey, listen, we went down here and we struggled way more than we would have liked. We need to go to work. And you can only gauge that by racing with those guys. And that's kind of the way I see it. Like, listen, we go to Mississippi Thunder and race with them. It's Illinois Speed Week the week after that. So, I'm going to see them guys at some point, so I might as well just get it out of the way now and figure out where we're at. And obviously, it's also cool to go down there and be at Talladega during NASCAR weekend.
Sure.
We're going to go over the NASCAR race Sunday.
I was just going there.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the NASCAR race Sunday, and see all my buddies over there, and hang out and have a couple beers in the grandstands, and and shoot the shit with some people. It's fun to do that stuff, and
I'm sure they're going to come over to
I'd imagine you'll see. I know hosts of ours coming to race with us, so that means at least 3 or 4 knocked in doors and quarter panels and God knows what else. But I really like Carson, and but it's fun to be part of those weekends. It's just a rarity for us to be on a weekend with a NASCAR event where you're able to kind of go enjoy all of that and take in some of the sights and race in front of a big crowd. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm excited about getting down there. We're pretty prepped up already to kind of be loaded up and heading out Thursday and get down there early and go get parked with my buddy Nick and maybe steal some of his notes.
Well, that'd be a good thing. I know that Bobby won this event, last year. I think they lost one night to weather, and then Bobby won the race. So Bobby's been pretty good down south. I know he took a lot of heat, earlier on in his career, about the cushions and everything else, but he's managed to do pretty well down in the East Tennessee and down south in Alabama. So, and I look for him to be a factor again this week
for sure. Definitely.
So anyway, I think that pretty much wraps up, kind of what happened last weekend or what we're going into this week. And I'm going to let my man sign us off tonight. And real quick though, I want to thank everybody for watching our show and letting Gordy and I do what we love to do and bullshit about racing. And we had a great guest on tonight, and I'm going to leave it in Gordy's hands now.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for always, all the comments and stuff we get on social media and the messages and replies. And, I know a lot of times I don't get back to all of them, but I definitely read a lot of it, and it's cool to continue growing, our podcast with all the viewers and having these great guests on every week. So got some cool things upcoming for the Dirt Parlor, and maybe some small changes I think that are going to be great for you guys that are listening at home. So make sure you like and subscribe and follow us on all the social media pages and YouTube. And till next week, we'll see you then.
Appreciate it.